This episode of RP MMO Radio is brought to you by all our amazing and generous Patreon donors. Visit us at patreon.com/RP MMO Radio to help support the show. It is also brought to you by
Like winds off a landfill, so are the roleplay ties that bind. Previously on Roleplay Ties That Bind. How could you cheat on me? We have been married for days. Why? How could you do this to our recent children that were conceived on our wedding night and are already walking? Why, Callista? I don't know, Antonio. I thought it was you. But how could you think it was me unless... Yes, brother, it is I, your evil twin. I seduced her to get back at you for eating the last Oreo when we were 8. No! You died 5 years ago when the car was struck by lightning, blew up, drove off a cliff, and sank into the sea. How could this possibly be? Because I, your third unknown triplet brother, pulled him out of the sea and turned him into a vampire, which I am as well. Blah, 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 blah. Find out what happens next time on the Roleplay Ties That Bind, only on station 9567 of Crapco Communications. Starting now.
You're listening to RP MMO Radio.
Does internet porn know you're cheating on it?
Where entertainment and roleplay in MMORPGs have little hybrid mutant babies.
Make a note of this. Dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow, dishonor on your whole family.
And now, here's your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, Civ, Jazz, Strafe, and Yunfei.
Everybody off. We need to go on a quick adventure.
Hello, role players, and welcome to RP MMO Radio, episode 91, The Ties That Bind. I, of course, am one of your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, and with me today is the crew, Jazz, Sib, and Yunfei, the angels to my Charlie, the something else with a lot of females to the one guy in it. How's everyone doing tonight?
Seriously, Charlie?
Yeah, that's the best I got. Do you know any other shows with like 3 chicks and 1 dude? I don't know. That's like not something on Pornhub.
The Bachelor?
See, I'd say Charlie's Angels is better than The Bachelor. That's
I'm going to have to go with that, too.
Yeah, I'd rather reduce the 3 of you to the Angels than anything on like that reality TV show stuff. So, we'll appreciate everybody for tuning in. Of course, we do this almost every weekend, 7 Central on Saturdays over at twitch.tv/RPMMO Radio. If you would like to call in and say your piece or even just say something in the text chat, either over at rpmradio.com/Discord or, on Twitch, feel free. We do take callers live. Very few people do that. Of course, the hard part of that is actually listening live, which if you're on the podcast, we appreciate it, but you should try catching a live show. They're kind of fun. They can be okay. They're mostly a train wreck. Everything is awful. So we do have a couple...
And it's for editing, right?
Right. That's literally the only... And even that, the guy that edits it mostly just clicks the 3 same filters over and over.
Yeah, he's a little insane.
Yeah. But if we do lose connection, we have a couple storms around us tonight. So if we do, we'll try to get back as quick as possible. If the power goes out entirely, probably not as fast. So, we got that. So everyone, I know we were off last weekend. We had one out, baseball. The other one was literally out of power.
Yep.
Was it 4 hours, you said?
Poof! 4.5 hours.
4.5 hours. Not that she was counting 4 hours,
yeah,
36
with,
seconds.
1, 2, 3, 3 children under 11 and 2 teenagers. All without their technology. It
Ooh.
was
So you had to like what, talk to them or something?
we had to talk, we had to play cards. We played Monopoly.
Oh
yeah,
no, I'm so sorry. So how many of them survived?
all of them
Monopoly's the
actually, and they
worst.
had a great time.
Monopoly is a
They said they
horrible
had so
game.
much fun. We should do that again sometime. I'm like, well, I'm sure Mother Nature will oblige.
I've lost friends from Monopoly.
Monopoly is horrible.
Yeah, maybe
game.
it's because they were younger. You were able to keep them in line, but there's nothing worse than playing with fucking adults. It is awful.
Well, yeah, they just seemed to take it in stride and had a good time.
Well, that's
so.
good at least. So you didn't have to kill.
Yeah,
any
it
of
was
them.
fun and interesting. Apparently, what happened is there are these two parts to the power system for our county area, for 3-4 county area, that is in this one major transformer area. That without them, none of them work.
Damn
And
it,
that
Michael
was what
Bay.
got struck by lightning.
Ooh.
Yeah, Michael Bay at work, blowing things up and killing Transformers and making you disappointed in them until someone that's not related to him does Bumblebee, and you're like, this is actually a pretty good movie.
I liked Bumblebee.
That's what I mean. It had nothing to do with Michael Bay. That's why it was good. Show me my old school Transformers. Yeah.
So anyway, they had to like find the part and everything else. And I guess they thought they fixed it, and then they turned the power on, and then it blew. And
That's when your power came on for 2 minutes?
yeah, it was on for like 10 minutes, and it blew again. And
You're like, all right, I know exactly when you guys did that.
yeah, because I was reading about it, and I'm like, you could just see their faces. Got it. Flips the switch. Kabloom. Oh,
Oh, man.
don't have it.
Eek.
Crap.
Yeah.
Cut it down, boys.
I watched something
Yeah.
similar to that exact same moment. I watched that HBO show Chernobyl.
Oh yeah.
Wow, that is actually pretty stunning to watch.
Oh, is it?
Oh yeah. Hey, Yudfei, I think you got some stuff in your background.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what though.
It sounds like people talking.
Kids. It sounds like kids or people talking,
Yeah,
one or the other. Yeah.
I'm a kid.
Oh, okay, I'll go fix that.
Okay. But yeah, that was actually fascinating. It was very slow paced, but just to see how they just the state can't be wrong in Soviet Russia. But it was,
Totally can.
oh yeah, it just the sacrifice and the amount of lives that were put at risk and at loss, and I never realized how bad had they not done what they did, exactly how bad it could have been for the entirety of the planet had they not actually managed to do what they did.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, I
was
actually read about it in
7.
college and was amazed at how close we came to like
all of
a
Europe
worldwide
and,
Chernobyl.
yeah, all of Europe and Russia being almost unlivable. Yeah, it was a lot closer than I thought. But so hey,
We had a stray Fay, but he vanished again.
oh there he
Where'd
is,
he go?
Falsehoods.
and Strafe. That was-
Welcome, sir.
Yeah, but no, that was very interesting. So, but yeah, other than that, it's also been a kind of a wild week. I got my computer sort of upgraded. I got a new i7 processor, which needed a new motherboard, and the motherboard needed new RAM. And then I took it to the Geek Squad because I was way out of my league. And now it works. So hopefully I can actually start. The reason I wanted it more was so that I could stream games and stuff like that, which.
Yeah. Yeah, I have the
my
same. I have the
i5
7.
Yeah,
The
see, I was
i7.
on
I have the i7 and a solid state drive. And I have to say, I was nervous about the Switch, but I'm really pleased we did it.
Yeah, I really want to get a solid state drive next because
It's
that's the slowest
amazing.
part.
You know that long period of time when you reboot?
Yes, and that's,
Yeah, it's gone.
yeah. And right now with the 7, that's really the only hard drive is the slowest bit on my computer now. So it's something.
Yeah,
to
it was
look
just
at.
like my husband's like, I know you've been because it took a couple days extra than normal to get the new system up, and he was like, now watch this, and he booted it up, and
was
not
like,
even a minute later, it was
Yeah.
there, and I was like, really, it's done already? Wow.
Nice.
So you may notice a slightly faster reboot. That's a crock because
Yeah.
it was like
oh yeah.
blink, you're done.
Well,
I
they
was-
did that. They did a recently thing because the PlayStation 4, obviously it's regular old stuff, but the next generation, the PlayStation 5, they were showing the difference in load times for something like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because the next one's going to use the solid state drive for both the Xbox and PlayStation consoles. And it was just a little thing of like, on a current Spider-Man game, it was like an 8-second load time versus when they used the solid state drive, it was almost instantaneous. It was like a second.
Yeah.
So
it's just
it makes
amazing.
a big difference.
Huge.
Big difference. But because of all that, I know I didn't do hardly any roleplay, and I thought I had some roleplay. I think it was with you, Jazz, before, but you're going to have to help me remember because I don't remember what we did. It's been 2 weeks. My memory is like that of a goldfish.
Well, we did the event with Cial, but I didn't think you were there for that.
No, I didn't do the Cial one. I think it was Star Wars. I think it was what I'm thinking
Oh,
of was
right.
the post after the submarine thing, because I know we already talked about that one, and then I think I came to you with the data that we got from that.
Yes. Yes.
But since you're smarter than me, I think you should probably go first to talk about
Nope, because
that.
I have no memory of it at all.
No.
So.
Yeah, go for it.
Nope, don't remember
I'm
that
not leaving
at
you
all.
at a lurch. I'm just making sure you do it first.
Yeah, that's nice. Anyway, for me, my role play was the previous week we did the Go Find Cial event, and I DM'd that. So that was a lot of fun. I haven't DM'd in a long time, and I had a great time. I had it all written out beforehand, like DMs are supposed to do. I had to throw about half of it out the window.
Naturally. That's why some DMs don't write it out beforehand.
I wrote it out beforehand. I was pretty sure the way everything would go. And I ended up throwing half of it out because we were 2 hours in and they were only a third of the way through. I was like, there is no way they're going through all these traps. So I threw out about half of it, and it was still trap heavy. So it was a lot of fun. And Cial they have a greater respect for Cial's level of paranoia.
It's
and
not paranoia if they're really out to get you.
Yeah. As you know, Ashen from InQ2, I don't mind gore or gross stuff. I do mind horror. So there's a fine line between those two, and I walk it happily. So they got to experience the Gormal level of gore-ish gross stuff. And it was a lot of fun.
Oozing pestilence and all this.
Did someone say Gormal?
Oh, yeah. It was so, Gormal would have been so proud of Cial. She coated everything in blood and shit, and they had to walk into it, and it was rotted. And yeah.
You took him to San Francisco. Okay.
Yeah. It was bad. And it was fun to write because that was what Cial would do. And then they ended up bringing her back, and we're still in the process of getting Cial reintegrated into everything.
That takes
the
a lot
other
of scrubbing,
thing that's been kind of fun is that Cial, all the clues that she left, people had kind of imagined they knew what they meant.
Mm-hmm.
And so now they asked her, particularly poor Romeo, who had all this pretty much, I think, partially figured out. And he wasn't wrong about a lot of stuff, but they were reading more into it than was really there because she had the dreams and she doesn't have any idea what they mean. So that was a big shock, I think, for a lot of people. Were like, but so it doesn't, what does it mean? And she's like, oh, I don't know. I thought you could tell me.
Yeah.
So then I had this week, I had a written out and with dice interaction between Kia and Cial, since they're both my tunes. I use dice to keep it fun. Where she mind walked with her through the dreams and went back through them so that she could see what was being done and maybe come up with a little better idea of what the visions were showing her. Because Cial, as you know, is socially inept. She doesn't always understand stuff. So she missed a lot of the clues that Kia picked up on. So that was cool. But that was really all I got to do because it's just been a hellish week and I couldn't write. And I've just kind of been in the bleh. I haven't felt good. And I had a migraine on Wednesday, and usually the day before and the day after are always kind of, I don't know if anybody's ever had migraines, but you just wiped out.
Wiped. Yeah.
After and before, you just feel like ass and you don't know why. So then when you get the migraine, you're like, oh, that's why.
Oh, no. I beg for the sweet release of death.
Yeah. So then after it's gone, you're like, oh, thank God, but you're exhausted.
What's that?
then the day after
Refrigerator
that, you
light
can
or laser beam?
Yeah.
Right into my eyeball.
And mine was sound this time. It wasn't.
Oh yeah, oof.
So
that's rough.
the
And with boys
didn't
in the
bother
house, I'm
me
sure it
to
was
have the
perfectly
screen.
quiet.
But yeah, and my house is never quiet, so it was just. I took off. I put my headphones on and just had white noise in my headphones to try and block out a lot of the noise so it didn't hurt so bad. But I was at work when it started, and my client that I'm with at that time has a kid who shrieks all the time.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, no.
And I thought I was okay.
Quiet down,
I
you
didn't
little
realize-
fucker.
I didn't realize it was a migraine until I got there. And he did one of his, "Yee!" and my head went, "Gee, gee, gee." I went, oh, honey, sweetie, can you
Put
not
the
make
sock in
yeah,
your
that
mouth.
noise? Can we not have that noise? Thanks. Yeah.
You're not allowed to hit other children's kids as a social worker?
Nope.
That sounds like a horrible job.
Yeah. So he sat on my lap and I read to him and I finally calmed him down.
That's
but
good.
yeah, I wanted to duct tape him to the wall by his face. So
Yeah.
it
No,
was
we
hard
actually had
'cause-
someone do that here in Oklahoma. It turns out illegal.
Oh yeah, very. Don't
Yeah.
do that.
No, you can't do that to your kids. You can't duct tape their hands behind their back and then over their
Nope.
mouth so they can't cry and run around. Yeah, that's
Nope.
apparently, I mean, lesson
That's
learned.
illegal.
Yeah.
So is squirting them with water, by the way.
But not throwing cheese on their face, which is odd.
I don't know why anybody would want to throw cheese on somebody's face.
There's a video out there that started
I've
a
seen
trend
it.
with
I've seen
throwing a
it.
slice of cheese on babies' heads. I mean,
Why would somebody
and your
want to do that?
pets.
I don't
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, throwing it at your pets. I mean, if it's our dog,
I wouldn't
it's a
throw cheese at
reward.
anything. Cheese is good. Eat the cheese. Don't throw it
No.
around the room.
I mean,
Throw
if it's-
cheese at me. I'm very white and French, so throw
I'm gonna
cheese at
throw
me.
Kraft singles at you and see if you still feel like that.
That's not cheese.
Oh, that's not cheese.
Look at that! Look at the whiteness come out so quickly, America. The snobby white. This is what we get from those Northeasterners.
Cheese
Yep.
is not called cheese food.
I tell you what, if
Whatever
my
it's called.
cheese don't come individually wrapped, that stuff ain't cheese to me. That's what I'm saying. That or if it comes in a giant block that doesn't have to be refrigerated, that right there, that is some good eating cheese right there. I tell you what,
Actually,
right
that
now.
is good cheese if you don't have
I
to
know.
refrigerate
It
it.
actually is. Velveeta's. I don't think Velveeta's actually cheese either, but it's still delicious.
No, but it has to be refrigerated or it will mold.
I thought it just comes on the shelf. Oh, you mean after you open it? Yeah,
after you open it.
Yeah,
Once
yeah.
it's no longer air sealed,
Yeah.
yeah, it has to be. It has to be.
Yeah. So this has been the Cheese Hour.
I like brie.
The minutia of the shit I know.
I
Yeah.
like Gouda because it's good,
Yeah, smoked Gouda.
even though somebody can't tolerate their cheeses.
No.
Yunfei.
Well, yeah, but
She
whatever. I
has
do.
to
I eat cheese
she has
anyway.
to power through. Like, I'm gonna really regret this later. Oh dear God, my stomach. Oh, it's
Well,
so tasty.
Don't
going
admit
in.
More like-
it yourself.
More like poor Ben has to power through, but yeah.
When
He-
your dog crawls out from underneath the
Yeah.
blankets, you know you probably shouldn't eat cheese.
When Ben enters the room dressed like some of the extras from Chernobyl with the full-on hazmat suit and gas mask, you know it's like, well, you'll live.
Yep.
It may only be 5 years, but you know it was worth it.
I believe that's called being Dutch oven. I'm just saying.
Yeah, oh yeah. Stupid, stinky Dutch. So, anybody else do any role play this week or 2 weeks? I guess
Last week.
What you got, Strafei? I guess you're up then.
Showed up at the tail end of them pulling Ciel out of that wretched temple with Rufus leading jail to the scene.
Ooh.
As soon as they entered the stairs, everybody turned. Kia saw it first and flipped out. And people started getting agitated, and Jill said calmly, "Look, I'm just here to make sure Sia is fine. Do you need assistance?" Then there were threats leveled.
What?
They
I
believe
love
the
how
lie.
he's acting so innocent.
They are thoroughly indoctrinated with the zealot who runs around claiming he wishes to get back home because he's done nothing wrong. And, you know, he just kindly explained to Rufus, who he acquired to find them so he could make sure she was okay. And he kind of agreed. Look, she is going to be in danger because she's invoked the wrath of 2 Daedric lords against another. At some point, they're going to come together and say, why are we playing their game? Just kill the mortal and let's get back to our normal games of tormenting other mortals. Jael, having the ear of Nocturnal, said, well, we need to make sure she doesn't get eaten alive. So let's go there and try to make her safe. Preferably away from... what was the other? Namira. The Daedric Prince of Rot, Decay.
You mean Mephala?
Well, okay, it was Mephala. I thought you were using the other.
It was
one.
Mephala, Hercene, and Nocturnal.
It's been 2 weeks.
God.
Needless
Yeah,
to
it's
say,
been a little while.
You're playing three against the middle, which is not going to end well for a mortal. So, Jael offered his assistance, threats, saber rattling, the normal things that come with distrust. Even when you extend a hand of friendship. Even worse, they treated the poor tracker, who he said, look, you're free to go, Rufus. Thank you for getting me here. We just want to make sure she's safe. If they don't want our help, we'll leave. Actually, I'll leave. You do what you wish.
Sounds
More
like they're all
threats.
ungrateful.
More believing the lies of the Jedi, Templars. Who can say what when you've been in that indoctrinated to one side and you failed, you just close your ears to hearing another side of the story. Even though weeks earlier he approached his daughter calmly. He was like, look, I hear and understand you've been looking for me. The level of rage and accusation leveled at him was baseless. But, when she did ask questions, he did answer them. She didn't like the answers, things she didn't know, but she got honest answers. But that wasn't good enough. Apparently, I am the bearer of all the woes of everything. Thus, we got nowhere. I tried. Perhaps it was a mistake to do this. However, Sia is my longtime student, and I must make sure she's safe. And she's going to be used by people that have no idea what's going on in the grander picture. I explained part of this to Rufus. He kind of got it. As he's fond of the Wood Elf, he was also distressed that they, while trying to help her, were going to unwittingly cause her more damage. This mattered little. We tried to reason to these people, but it was like talking to a brick wall of rage and anger. So I departed, left Rufus to his vices. Rufus came back later and said, boss, you were right. His cat way. He said, I just told you, Rufus, they weren't going to go for it, but we had to make sure she was safe. He asked for how long. I said it's never understood nor never certain when it comes to 3 Daedric lords against the middle. But he should probably find her and try to help her to be safe if he could. He somewhat agreed, but one can never tell the Khajiit. And off he went. The end!
The end.
The end. So, how much of that was propaganda, Jazz?
Well, I don't know the whole story because I purposely don't know the whole story.
Right? No.
So,
I'm just saying, from your character's perspective, how much of that would be propaganda? If you were, I'd say Kia.
if Kia was talking, she would say that while it is confusing and he made some valid points to a point, there were facts he refused to address that she holds as evident that there is something else going on that he is not telling her.
That's also called true belief. And no matter what you say, I won't believe you because I think you're already guilty of this.
No, she's
Yes.
holding him accountable for behavior.
Behavior
She
she
knows
cannot
it's true.
prove.
She doesn't have to prove it.
She-
She knows it's true.
It's not a court of law.
Though you know it to be true, even though you have no evidence,
She
which
does have evidence.
makes it suspicion at best.
He's such a troll. Isn't he a troll?
Which
He loves
one?
doing
Him or the
this
character?
I will simply say, you know, this guy they love, Trithalis, he wasn't there to help them get Sia. Where was he? In fact, he didn't even show up for poetry. But
He was
you know,
with his
we should
Newborn child.
we should
and
believe
his
this guy.
The tone you're using, it's all wrong.
It's something. And yes, Trath, I need to write up the story, but the reason Trath is away is because I'm I'm saying the child was probably finally born.
Ah, it took him long enough.
And it was a good reason to bring my Imperial to the Poetry Hour and
Yeah, and
really redneck it up, and it was hilarious.
Indigo's asking, "You're Rufus? That's the Khajiit, right?"
Yes, the Rufus.
yeah.
I am also the Rufus.
Yeah,
Apparently
Rufus
there's
is very
two
suspicious of the
Rufuses
happenings.
in ESO.
yeah. There's the Rufus, and then there's the Doofus. There's a Breton. There's the I don't know
I
either.
see.
I don't really know. So anyway, all right. Anybody else? Anything you at least maybe your guys were playing and it was interesting? I mean, Sib had mostly like the Gilligan's Island version for baseball, 3-hour tours, watching an hour and a half, 2-hour game.
Nuclear Winter in 76 is off the chain, ridiculous fun. I'm just
The
going to
new
say,
Battle
I know
Royale.
Battle Royale is a little oversaturated, but when that nuclear ring closes in and the mutated creatures are also running away from it, causing chaos, the survivors trying to hide from other survivors,
Mm-hmm.
it gets sideways really quick.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Yeah, the Kev do it. He does videos and stuff. He was really he seemed real supercharged to have a lot of fun with that.
I made a few friends. It's a mess.
Yeah, it looks.
What a fun
I
mess.
like I mean, like you said, it's saturated, but the fact that they actually have the nasty NPCs in there to really fuck up your day. You could be doing just fine PvP, and then all of a sudden behind you, Scorch Beast.
Yep, one
then
shows
you're-
up too.
And then you're screwed. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I have been doing 76 just the last couple of days because I've been so busy, but I will say I tried Dead by Dawn
Mm-hmm.
on our son's
Dead by Daylight?
Dead by Daylight. Thank you. On our son's request. And I have never been so stressed out in a game. I can't play very many rounds, just a couple rounds, but I'm like, because I'm screaming and yelling at the computer. It's awful, but it is fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a very simple premise, but I actually I got it too for the same reason. It was actually pretty fun. We'll have to. That was one of the things
It's
I wanted
very
to do that.
stressful.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It's not something you play for a long time. It's just,
Of course, the first game I was
Three or
in,
four games.
all 4 of us survivors survived on my very first try. I got a
shut
whole
up.
generator all on my own.
Hey, I did 2
So-
generators the other day, so.
Yeah, well, that was my first try, so it's just I can't help being this amazing at it.
It's my first try. Shut up.
Can't help
Anyway.
it. But I was playing Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, which I think I kickstarted back in 1842. No, it's been like 5 years. I think it was like 2014, 2015 when I did it. It's it's a Metroidvania. It's by the original guy that did the original Castlevania. So, and since Konami's being a douchebag about not making anything, Castlevania or, and they tried to make that really horrible Metal Gear Solid Survivors. It's really fun. I actually really enjoy it. I've loved the old Metroid games and never got big into Castlevania, but for $28 5 years ago, seemed like a decent bet, and it eventually paid off. And it's actually a really fun game. They did a really good job. It's all voice acted and everything, which I was actually surprised by. It goes anywhere from hard as balls to completely easy. I got two giant snake guys that are on a wrapped. They're like one thing. They're kind of like cat dog, where they're joined in the middle and the 2 sides are a head, but they're wrapped around a tower and they'll snap at you from either side of the screen. I was way too late last night, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to give this another shot tomorrow when I'm fresh, because I am not getting this at all. So, but it's a lot of fun. It's got a lightsaber in it. I mean, it's not technically a lightsaber, but I'm totally using the lightsaber. It's just a light sword. It's just a laser sword, as Luke Skywalker himself would say, right, Strafe? Right? Laser sword, right? Yeah, that's what I
Dude,
thought.
that was such a horrible line, bro. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but I'm using a laser sword, unlike Mark Hamill, who should have been using a lightsaber. But no, it's a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it.
In his defense, he was kind of under duress.
He was forced to make everything. Yeah, no, it's not
And
his.
he did the
I don't
best he
blame
could.
him. But hey, out this weekend is Chucky, which he voices, so we got
I
that
know.
going for us.
If I hear the
That-
Joker in his voice, that's going to be so epic.
That meme.
Oh, I don't know. I'm clicking on things. There we go.
I was gonna say, okay, bye.
Yeah, I'm clicking on shit. I meant to click on the host chat so I could see what Jazz said she was back. And I clicked on caller waiting room, which you can join over at rpmmradio.com/Discord right now. So anybody else, Uni?
I haven't had a chance really to play anything except maybe a couple rounds of Enter the Gungeon, but April 16th, y'all. Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh yeah.
Oh, everybody's talking about it.
I
Yeah.
am so excited for it.
Yep. Nope. That's my jam. I'm waiting for that. Keanu Reeves thing was just icing on the cake for me, but I was already sold on it. Witcher 3 is one of my
me too.
top 3 favorite games of all time. Just epically done.
Ever since the first trailer I saw for it, which I think had the song Bullets in the background.
Yeah, it was 4 years ago, and it was just that chick in the thing with the arm blade sticking out.
Yep. Hooked instantly.
I gotta say though, after one of the other ones I'm really looking forward to is the remake of the Zelda on the Game Boy. What was it? Oh my god, I just forgot it. I was just
Link
watching
to the Past?
No, not A Link to the Past. It was one of the original. It's the one where he washes up on shore, and I'm totally forgetting the name.
Oh,
now.
Wind Waker.
No, not Wind Waker. It was the other.
No,
one.
no, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Link's Awakening?
Yeah. It's the one that was on Game Boy, right?
Link's Awakening. That was it.
The giant whale at the end?
The giant egg. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, they're remaking that in a completely new engine, but it's faithful to the original, and it looks awesome. I can't wait for that.
Pretty cool.
So speaking of E3, even though it was a week ago, let's go ahead and go do our RPM Radio E3 coverage of all the amazing new MMOs that were shown and coming up at this Electronic Expo. All right, and we're done. That was absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to play all of those games. Such a fucking garbage genre right now. But E3, the only bit they did show is they showed a little bit more of ESO's content of their year-long expansion, which, surprise, showed more dragons. Who'd have thought of that? Which looks pretty much exactly like what was already kind of out. Bless Online revamped their combat system, I guess. Nobody gives a shit. I mean, it's not really that great. Square had their own thing outside of E3, and Final Fantasy XIV content on Shadowbringers was mostly the exact same stuff with a new longer trailer. And surprise, they ruined a giant plot point in another trailer of theirs that Hydaelyn, the Primal Crystal, was actually a Primal Crystal. And basically the everything that everything came from was just really old primals the whole time.
Lame.
And instead of letting you find that out in the narrative, they spoiled it in a trailer.
Well,
so good on you. Good on you. That literally there was nothing worth any coverage at E3 on MMOs. It was pretty much all garbage. ESO and Final Fantasy XIV were about the best they had, and that was on expansions. One of which is already released.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
It's a wasteland.
It really is. It really is.
So come play with us in 76 Nuclear Winter.
Speaking of wastelands.
That was the segue, boss.
It takes place in the wasteland. So let's go ahead and go to our topic here. Tying your characters to other characters. Not just like, like, hey.
Topic.
What she said.
You're the worst.
I am, but it's okay.
But
I'm the best of the worst.
You're the worst of the best.
Sure.
I would like to say first that a lot of people assume when we're talking about this, we're talking about romance. And it's not necessarily romance, because you can tie yourself to characters that are family. You can tie yourself to characters that are part of your past or who have a storyline with you. And this is all of those things, not just romantic attachment.
A certain zombie and necromancer come to mind from ESO.
Wait, what?
You can't really play one without the other.
Oh, yeah. I got you.
Jazz.
We're kind of
Yes.
you're kind of
Somebody.
we're kind of coming through on your mics there, Straffe.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay,
bud.
Sorry.
Back to
Back
the
to the
land.
shackles.
That's right. But no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's not just relationship wise. Which I think we covered on a what's that stupid day where we're supposed to send each other flowers? Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
That one. I think we covered like that kind of on, with relationships, but you're right, Jess. It's not just that's the least of it. Usually it goes just as bad or not just as bad, but it can go just as bad or just as good if you're relations or like second cousins or somebody's
every
your
time-
brother or
yeah.
sister or
Anytime that you tie your character to somebody, there is a chance that they're going to lose interest and leave the game, or
turn out
something's
batshit
going
crazy.
to come up and they will no longer play,
Or turn out to be abusive.
or
dickwads.
turn out to be abusive pieces of shit. One or the
Yeah.
other.
Or
the
cross
point
and
is
think
that
that you're actually in a relationship.
yeah.
Yeah, oh god,
There's a
yeah.
lot
So,
of
I mean,
things.
all those things can affect how you play your character because you've tied them to somebody else. And even though I have had to reassess from time to time because somebody that I thought was going to be a part of my role play probably isn't anymore, that's always a possibility when you tie your character to somebody, and you need to be able to mentally have a way out so that it doesn't kill your role play.
Yeah, you got to be flexible with, like, even if you need we've seen several people that when they do this and their character basically does not exist without the other one, that's not a good place. It's just like
It's
real
annoying,
life.
man. That's
Yeah.
super annoying.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
like real
don't
life.
attach them at the hip.
If something happened to Sib, I don't just stop existing. Or if something happened to me, she would have me stuffed and put on the couch with a remote control in my hand, as it says in my will.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not
What?
We'll
creepy
go
at all.
with
But you know what I mean. It just like in
Anytime
role
you
play, you
tie,
got to be
like-
able to move on.
In Tor, in my character is a Sith master and has apprentices, and most of those apprentices don't play.
Yeah,
regularly.
They
So
In
if
the
I
woods.
had tied myself to any of her people that she's training, then what do? And it can be very disheartening when somebody's like, I won't be able to play anymore. Or, I have other things I have to do. I won't be able to come in anymore. And you have to be able to shift and be flexible enough to say that that's happening in the background, maybe. And that's what I fall back to.
Mm-hmm.
I had a character that was married and had a kid with somebody, and they couldn't play for quite a long time. They were just at home. They were still happily married ever
Right,
after. I
yeah.
just didn't role play that side of her. And she was you remember Zarish. She was a healer in the guild, and she had a very full role play. That was just a side
Right.
of it that I didn't pursue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kia is a very rounded, three-dimensional character in ESO,
me.
and I enjoy playing her. And she has a big story, but her character is married to somebody, which is Strayface's character, who is often not played, but is nevertheless there. That doesn't mean that he's going to die or has to die horribly or doesn't exist anymore. It just means he's in the background, and I go home and have happily ever after dinner with this person, and then I come back and I'm my sneaky self again. And I think that that's true across the board, and we're going to obviously deal with all that in this, but that is something that I think a lot of people miss. They think that if their character can't be with that one person that they've decided they're going to have this big role play with, and it doesn't work out, well, now I can't role play anymore.
Well,
and they vanish.
To back that up, how many? I honestly, I'm asking because honestly, I've lost count. How many people have stopped role playing on certain characters or left games altogether because the person they did tie themselves to, for whatever reason, they got bored with the game, they couldn't afford it anymore, they
got a different job, they
worm
can't
rot,
show up.
whatever.
They have a
then-
different game that they want to play.
Yeah, and then they
Or they're
instead of
psycho, and you
being-
can't be around them anymore.
Right.
I mean,
Yep.
But
No,
instead
there
of
are
being
so many
flexible and
people.
moving the character along, it's
Stop
like
playing.
they brain
They simply
freeze and
cease.
just stop. And
and
it
all
really
the role play connected to that person also goes down the toilet.
Yeah, and it's really not that hard. You know,
Yeah.
you can tell them, well, just say that they're off doing this, like what you were saying, or if the person gave you permission to kill them off, then go ahead and kill them off. That's fine. No, well, then I can't do. No, you're at this point, you kind of just want the attention of this, and you don't.
Well, I mean, I don't have a problem with somebody who wants to stay happily married. Matter of fact, it works for me because then people aren't trying to climb into the pants of my character.
They don't want
I was
to
gonna
do
say,
anything.
It wasn't the end of the world that I'm not always on Hadrian. It's like the watering the tree principle. When I get on, I have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
But me being not on Trajan is not going to end Kia. And there was a lot of people who got stuck into that trap in EQ2. If somebody just quit playing, like everything they'd built up because they were just so focused on one or two people, it was over.
They would drop
from
it.
Scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah, then they would just quit because they didn't have.
And even if Trajan stopped being around completely, my character is still going to maintain a happy marriage and is going to go home to her husband every night. She's a thief and a killer. She doesn't need that side of her life in role play because I have plenty of other things to focus on.
She don't need no man.
That's right. I'm a firm believer in that. You do not need a spouse or a significant other to have a full RP life. And I'm really getting very tired of people flushing their entire role play down the toilet because they can't get laid.
She says this.
In
when I'm rolling with Hadrian, she's like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "How you doing? What's going on over there, Trooper? What's going on there, bartender?" It's ridiculous, but it's fun. I mean, it's just a game.
Yeah.
I'm just trolling Jazz, but no, it's true. You don't have to be focused so into that.
No, I was just wondering.
Trajan knows she's shady. He doesn't want to know she's shady. He goes and works a cop's job pretty much, and he's like, "I don't want to know."
He's a cop. So they automatically have a line in the sand that they can't cross because she's a thief and a killer, and he's a cop. So they meet at home on neutral ground and they have their thing, and that's where their thing is. And they have very separate lives. And we set that up on purpose because his main is not Trajan. And I did not want to disrupt Trithalis' RP for something that he and I do not need to role play out, which is, "Oh baby, come give me a kiss." It's not necessary.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Gross, dude.
Yeah, you're doing it wrong, man.
Yeah.
You got to start with the freaking bath. I'm just saying.
They
salts,
do too.
Bath
They always
salts.
start.
She's got the new condition. He's like, "Hey," when he gets home, she's like, "Go get in the bath." He's like, "Is it that kind of bath or is it just a bath?" She goes, "It's a bath." He's like, I'm there.
It's just
Drop
It's
everything.
funny.
It's freaking
Yeah.
funny.
a pile of clothes.
He knows that if she says it's time for a bath, he knows what that means. And she has purposely conditioned him
Wow, chicka wow wow.
to want to be clean because she has a thing about being clean. And
You got to be clean to get dirty.
that's right.
It's all fade to black, but it's funny. It's just funny
Yes.
interaction. If I roll around and everybody's like doing RP and maybe it's the end of the bar night, and then Kia looks over and says, "I think it's bath time." Trajan's like, "Yep, so long, folks. Y'all can jog on. This place is closing down." Or if they're hanging around Kia's house and there's company over and everybody's chatting this and that, or drinking whatever, having a pleasant chat. If Kia says, "Trajan, I think you need a bath," he's like, "Yep, you frackers need to get out. Go leave. You need to leave now. Out. I don't care. I'll kick you in the butt. Leave." Like, it's a funny little device at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun.
Jazz.
What?
Quit highlighting the outline.
Oh, shit. Sorry. It's a thing.
You're just
I
doing
might
it.
be
I'm
a
just
little
sitting here
OCD.
watching it over and over and over. Like, stop.
Sorry.
I'm ADD.
I honestly
can't
don't
just,
mean
like-
to.
And I'm sure it's fine when it's just you, but like it translates it just go. Everybody sees it. So, just. All right. So anyway, so tying your character to someone else, it isn't something you do, obviously, for the reasons we just outlined and not even really got to our outline with. You don't want to jump into it, and there's a lot of things to consider. Both good and bad things can come from it. Just as many, honestly, this is one of the few that if it goes really good, it goes really good, and if it goes bad, it could, you just kind of push it off, or it can go horribly bad depending on the
it does suck
circumstances.
sometimes when somebody's like, "I can't play anymore," and
Yeah.
the RP that you've had
In real life
has to
first,
shift.
you can't get onto
it
it.
bites. I'm
Yeah.
like, sigh, okay. And, you
Yeah.
know, and then I have to mentally take a couple days and kind of adjust my focus and figure out how I'm going to
rewrite
do
the
this.
story a bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
rewrite it a little bit so that it works. Roll some dice, figure out, you know, where things are going. Because a lot of times, at least with me, when somebody does this, they're not out, they're not dead, they're not gone. They're consigned to the
The background.
the
They're
background.
put on the
They're-
back burner in case the character or the player comes
Right.
back. Yeah.
But at the same time, my character's life goes on, and my character doesn't. This is a pet peeve, and so I apologize if people do this. It is one of my pet peeves. I go to sleep when I'm not on, and I don't wake up until I come back on.
Yeah.
And they
Oh, yeah.
literally do not RP anything happening to their character unless they're online, and they are literally sleeping any other time. That bugs
Like
me
days
to
on
no
end.
end. Yeah. My character gets up at dawn and does her thing every single day, whether I'm there or not.
Mhm.
And
That's the way I've always done it.
when
Folks
I'm at
got to have
work-
their eggs and bacon before they get to the roleplay world, right?
yeah, you know, and I'm like, what did she do today? I often, if I'm bored and I'm sitting there, I start thinking, what's Kia doing today? And I kind of imagine when I log on and somebody says, so what'd you do today? I already have something figured out
Mhm.
because I know what she did because I'm thinking about it. She has a
Daughter-
life.
Daughter set my
Yeah.
husband on fire. He was cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to the tub, you know, hey.
They have lives outside of what I role play. And if more people did that, I think more people would be less upset when RP takes a right-hand turn and they have to readjust things.
Yeah, I think thankfully, I think that's largely fallen out of favor. Of course, there's always still a few, but it's been a while since at least I've ran into anybody that did that. But as Kishmas says in the chat, that's lame-o. And unlike Jazz, I'm not going to apologize. That's just a dumb way of doing it, frankly.
Some of that will lead to stalkery stuff. You got to be careful.
It does. It leads,
Yeah.
if people are doing that and saying, my character has been asleep this whole time, you haven't been around. Yes, I have. I've been here every damn day.
Mm-hmm.
Like Trithalis and I have a thing with Sia and Trithalis where she comes over for a lesson. And when things are going normally, she comes every day for her lesson. Obviously not at the moment, and we just assumed that
and
was
her
happening.
lunch
If it's
of
not, we say
fried
something.
fish and it's a whole ridiculous deal. But it's like a grammar lesson.
Yeah.
Well, it's like with in Star Wars, like I've not managed to, because you had on Wednesday you had your seal thing, and with my computer stuff, I've not role played in Star Wars all week, and so when I see you, it will be I haven't seen you in a while, but it's not going to be because like that whole time they were, you know, of course the Star Wars it's really easy because it's a galaxy and time does take time to travel, so it's real easy to be like, I haven't seen you in a while, you know, what have you been up to? And having something like, he wasn't asleep for the last 2 weeks. That's just yeah.
Like I was gone for an
little
extra long period of time. I said that she went out back to the rim to check on her stronghold out there and came back. That's roughly the same amount of time that would have passed, so that works.
Yeah, it's perfectly. I've never understood nothing in the character's life happens outside of what is visibly seen on the screen. It is a very strange form of roleplay that is very limiting, and
it ties
honest,
you to the character emotionally on a level that isn't healthy, in my opinion.
It lacks a bit of imagination as well, that you can't imagine, you know, just like characters in a book. They, you know, Luke Skywalker, when you saw him on Tatooine, he wasn't sleeping all the way until then. He had, you know, his chores and his day-to-day life and all this and that long before, you know, the Death Star, you know, came overhead and dropped a bunch of droids on his head.
Look, he can't get involved. He's got chores to do.
He's going to go pick up Tashi Station to pick up some power converters. I don't know why he's New England, but still. So
I think a lot of if like getting your character, like when they're offline and they're supposedly not, you know, their character's not doing anything, they're sleeping. But as Jazz said, when she's thinking about her character, what she's been doing all day, Jazz also writes. And writing makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it does. That's true.
For people, you know, whether they're, you know, what their character is doing. I know I used to think about it a lot, you know, and then I'd want to put it in story form. I haven't done that in a while, so.
Stop. Really?
You tell him, Pooch. You tell him how the cow eats the cabbage.
fuck?
Sounds so cute.
I didn't know she had a little rat in her house. I thought she had big dogs.
She has a chihuahua.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Like I said, that
Mhm.
rat. Sounded like a rat. On a stick. So, all right. Well, when starting down this road, when you're going to start connecting your characters to other people, and which basically kind of connects you to these people as well. Keep that in mind. It's not just a character thing. There is an OOC portion of this that you need to keep in mind. You always want to discuss in full with the player of that character what kind of expectation both of you want out of the attachment, and you don't want one going in thinking it is more than it actually is. So you want to be clear and set ground rules right from the get-go. I mean, at the very least, you have to have that conversation of it will depend on what you want, obviously. If it's going to be a romantic one, you've got to set the rules like we've said about ERP or Fade to Black and what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, that it's make sure that they're aware that it's not going to be a stalkery situation, which sometimes you can only do so much with. I mean, people are people. They don't always tell the truth.
If it's a romantic relationship, I would not suggest just running right in.
Definitely not.
I would say, get to know the person before you start a romantic relationship with that person.
Yeah, and if it's just family, that's definitely a little easier, because just like real family, you can cut them off, little fuckers. Sorry, what was I saying? But in a lot of times with the family thing too, most of that has, like Strafe, you and Jazz, a lot of times your characters are somewhat peripherally attached to each other through like lineage or something like that.
She really loves me being related to her somehow, or vice versa. Somehow there's a father figure involved or an uncle. She loves that. Jazz loves it. I'm cool with it. Whatever. It's not the end of the world.
So what you're saying
and I was
is
kind of annoyed at it sometimes.
She likes to call you daddy.
I mean, I wasn't gonna say that. But no, it's cool. I mean, at first, I didn't want to have Trath anywhere near it, but Jazz said, "Hey, this guy could be cool." And I thought about it. I was like, "Yeah, it could be fine."
Yeah,
it's not the end of the world.
But it's still something you have to
me,
talk out to make sure your timelines line up and where. Okay, so where were they when this was happening? All right. So now we got, you got to get all your eggs in a row, so to speak.
Yeah, you gotta get the ducks in the row, and no, it just made her really more fond of that character. So if something happens, it's gonna really flip out one of Jazz's character real bad. So it's cool because then it'll cause other RP consequences.
Yeah, and there is that.
It could be cool, and it could be annoying, but it just you gotta talk to the person likes it.
Yes, and I would suggest make sure you, like I said, you know this person, especially if you're going. I mean, you and Jazz and Ashen and Uni have known each other forever.
An unfortunate length of time.
It's easy to attach one of your characters to the other, but when you're, new to a guild, new to the game, you want to make sure you really take the time and get to know the person. Like Uni said, you don't want him the psycho version.
Yeah. You will find them.
Yeah, and very rarely, one thing I remember from talking with Kishmis is him and Nathala. Theirs happened all through in character with not almost any OOC talking, and that is the exception to the rule. That's definitely not how that usually goes. Usually, because she was married, or she is married rather, and he's single, and but it's all he's a normal dude's-ish. I mean, okay, so he's a piece of shit, but he's a piece of shit that at least respects other people's boundaries and stuff like that. And yes, he is single, ladies.
Yet at the same time, he has an unhealthy love of cougars. I wonder how that happened. Not saying Nathala is a cougar, but hey, it is what it is.
But the way that turned out for him, that worked out. But a lot of times, if you don't speak out of character first, it can go sideways real quick. Because if you end up with somebody thinking there's more to it, or what was it, the last episode, Jazz was talking about that person when they tied their character to the other guy, and she was getting upset that he was then also on other characters and not playing with her, and that they had relationships on those characters, and she she had mixed in there somehow that because their characters were together, that somehow they were also together, which is
Yeah.
not a thing.
And that's not healthy.
Sorry, I was reading something. I was reading what Razor's Edge in the chat said. When making a character family relationship, you even need to go into long backstory. Jazz and I needed to go all the way back to their childhood to talk about how Giriv and Primmin established their sisterly relationship. Yeah. So you know, that's when you're making even family stuff. That's just exactly you need to make sure that your timelines mesh. You don't want to be like, well, we're sisters or we're twin sisters. I'm 49 and she's 30.
Yeah.
Wait, what? You said you were twin sisters. Oh yeah,
No,
it's
I dealt
long
with that
and
a lot.
complicated story.
in EQ2 because Vaka was related to a lot of people because they wanted to be part of the storyline. And invariably somebody would, and her name will remain secret. I had a couple people actually who then just started
Sib.
making up things about
What?
I know who she's talking about. All right.
and saying she can do this and this and this and this is a superpower and da 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 and she's related to this and this. No, stop.
But Jazz, I want phenomenal cosmic Valkavic powers.
And I ended up saying, you know, look, she's just distantly related. You can do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care anymore. But it was frustrating because, I mean, I gave them, you know, in a written packet, everything they needed to know about their character, where they came from, what they were, so that we had a mutual agreement on when they were talking about how they were related, it would make sense.
That goes back to what Ashton said, though. You really got to feel them out, get to know
Yeah,
them.
and I did.
trust them
And you
because
know,
they will.
I only agreed to it after a lot of conversation, and she completely snowed me. More than both of these young ladies
And that's the
completely
thing.
snowed me
Even
until after they had it under control, and then they started
setting
changing
ground
shit.
rules in a talk does not it's not the 10 Commandments. It's not written in stone. And human beings are flaky creatures that can change on a dime. If their mood shifts, if they're having a bad day, you never really know. You can only use your best judgment, but even your best judgment doesn't change human nature. And people are gonna
And
do
so
what they're
after
gonna
a while,
do.
I just simply said they were far enough away genetically that they could make up whatever they wanted. I didn't care anymore, and I just separated from that completely. And I stopped doing it. And anybody that was related was either my tune or people that I knew personally, and I didn't ever allow it after that. And so this time around in ESO, people that are related to my character is people that I know very well, like you and Stray.
And I'm not even related to you.
No,
Because some
but you're
people
friends.
just
I
don't
know
like
you.
that.
This happens to me somehow.
Yeah.
I mean, she freaking forced it in EQ2. She really thought it'd be cool in ESO. You know, hey, it just happens. I don't know how that. Oh yeah, blood transfusion.
That's how they get you.
Looking at you,
Oh,
Jazz.
yeah. Hey, that was not my fault. We had to roll dice. That was not my fault. Mike, to those that were listening, my character's blood is toxic and infectious in EQ2. Kind of like Lycan in that way.
In other words, you're going to be mine, Puppet Dance.
And he was ingesting her blood. And as long as it stayed in his digestive tract, we were fine. But Mr. Turn into a spider and get himself hacked to pieces.
Whoops.
I saw that, Ashen.
All I can say is hate's a powerful thing. Especially the hate for someone who turned you into something you didn't want to be. And their outcomes and side consequences.
What?
No, I digress. It was a lot of fun. It was good role play.
It was a lot of fun, and we had to roll when he had himself hacked to pieces because I was like, now it's in his blood, and I'm not sure what's going to happen. We're going to have to roll. And
Defiance
He
to the
didn't-
end. I'll
Yep.
never change it.
yeah, it was a lot of fun, though. It created a deep and absolutely entertaining role play between Stray and I that changed the way I looked at role play in many ways. So was awesome.
So that's an outcome where it could go well if you know the people.
Yeah, but you
Right.
do
Well,
have
and-
to
Yeah.
talk a lot. There has to be communication.
You have a rapport,
and
yeah.
both parties have to be willing to meet in the middle about stuff. Because, he was like, I don't want my character to do X, Y, Z. And I'm like, that's fine. We won't do that. We talked about everything so that
Yeah.
it made sense and it worked with his role play.
That's the thing, and even with roles on stuff, there's still the expectation of what you want. If you're not wanting your character to do a certain thing, that you don't have to.
Well, nobody
You know.
has to because
Right.
nobody owns your tune but you.
Right, that's what I'm
Yes.
saying. But at the same time, that's where working together comes in so well, because it can be fun and things can take a turn that you would never have seen coming, because it was like what you said, Jazz, with your where in the world is CL San Diego? You had to throw out half of it because one time, but it was just how things were going. It was kind of a time constraint, but
And it was still a
things
great
went-
role play,
yeah.
even with half the traps gone. So, I mean,
You
it was
just-
a lot
you
of fun.
have
Everybody
to
had
be
fun.
able to be flexible and outside the box, and most importantly, I think just open-minded to other ideas. Now, not all ideas, because some of them are just butt stupid, but
Yeah.
good ideas. You have to be open-minded to good ideas. Let's
That is the
Put
name
Jazz
of
on
role
there.
play.
She had no idea I was going to show up at jail.
Nope.
Jazz had not the foggiest. I just logged in and showed up, and it flipped her smooth out. But it was a good way. In a
Right.
good way.
Yeah, it was fun. I was glad
it's
to
a
see it.
curveball, not a
It's
strike.
curveball. Yes.
He knows that I enjoy twists and turns I don't see coming, which is why, when we're talking about the plot lines and he's like, do you want to know? No, don't tell me, because I don't want to
Right.
accidentally assume facts, not evidence. So
Yeah.
let's just keep it as light as possible.
So, all right. So, so setting the ground rules. Such as, will this be the only character that you'll be attached to, your character? And if so, no one could get upset if you play another character, which may or may not have attachments to someone else's character.
I think it's
No
really
one-
important to do that.
Yeah, and
I
no one
can't
owns the character.
stress
Hold on,
this
let me
enough.
finish reading this.
Sorry.
No one owns the character but you, and has no right to make demands of them except you.
Yes.
They can make requests, they can ask and pretty please and thank you and collaborate, but in the end, what happens really kind of is all up to you. Okay, now you can go, Jess. I knew if I didn't get that finished, I was like, it wasn't going to sound right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You do need
I
that
feel very
respect.
passionately about this.
I know, and that's why it's fine. I gotta have to get through the paragraph. But
Because oftentimes, if folks don't respect that,
Mhm.
they will start pestering your alt
Right.
And
incessantly.
following you, and
Mhm.
yeah,
I had one
I
chase me
believe
from
it's
Keynote
stalkery.
when I moved over
I
to
think-
Freeport, and it is.
when you have people who are like, all your tunes belong to me, and I can't tell you, I would say at least half of all stable, decent role players, I'm not talking about people that are unstable, I mean people who should know better, are tying all their characters to this one person. So no matter who they're on, their character is tied in some fashion to this other person.
Mm-hmm.
And I can understand that if they're the only two role players that you know,
Right. Yeah.
it's just not healthy. And every single time, and I've yet to see it not turn out that way in the end, there was a problem.
Yeah. About the only exception to that might be couples. Like, at least on that level, you can kind of.
Well, I mean, if you're husband and wife, sure,
Right,
I
that's
can
what I'm
see
saying.
how that could be an
that'd
issue.
probably be one
But
of the few exceptions.
even then, I mean,
Right.
I get it for romance. I
Right.
totally back that up. You're my husband. I'm your wife. I don't want you ERPing with anybody else. Cool. All of our characters that are romantically involved are together. I start wondering about one of them when husband and wife are still brother and sister, cousin and bucko, two friends. They can't separate their role play from each other in any of the fashions that it's possible.
Yeah.
Because then that
Yeah.
person, one of them's going to get bored.
I won't lie and say that when couples role play as brother and sister, that doesn't skeeve me out a little bit, OC. Maybe it shouldn't, but it kind of does. Yeah, it's a little creepy to me.
Now, see, like Jay and I played a brother and a sister. We weren't together in any other character, really. And he played, I played a Lampshin, and he played
That's my kissing cousin right there. That's what that is.
Yorn, something Yorn. Ulan Yorn. There we go. and those were Alamshin's. No, that was Vaca's kids.
Right.
I tell you
Well,
right
the first
now,
two kids.
Cletus, you got to watch out for them kissing.
But
Yeah,
they
it
weren't
goes south
romantically involved. They were just brother and sister.
Right.
And we hardly ever played them. It was just,
Yeah, they really were like distant alts. And
I just didn't even trust
I've
anyone
seen
else to play Ulin Yorn as a twin because
some that just
I
make
just
it-
had a lot of bad luck at that point and was like, I am not doing this unless it's you.
Yeah, and I've seen a few that do it, and it's kind of like it's that creepy sort of like.
But they're, yeah.
like
I
was that
can
Ozzy
call-
and Harriet kind of a thing?
Almost every time there's some sexual thing going on and it always skeeves me out a little
It's
bit.
super weird. I don't know why people do that, but it is common.
This
Yeah.
is my this here's my sister wife. Well, we
Of course,
got.
there's Gormal and his special sister, but
Well, that's a troll. I could give that away for a troll.
Okay, so okay. Let me clarify. It's a troll and it's his half sister. It's ridiculous,
Yeah.
but it's supposed to be ridiculous.
we laughed so hard about
yeah.
all that. It
It's
was
making a
hilarious.
mockery. Gormal was made to make a mockery of most of these role players. If you guys
Mhm.
must know the secret, so that's
Well,
that's
yeah.
what that was
Yeah.
about.
So she was his special sister, and most people didn't clue in on it until she had one of his kids. But
It's his
It was
half
really
sister. It's totally okay in Grob.
It's his sister with benefits.
Hey, she's red. She's mean. She does things. Gormal not gonna say no more.
it was just to make a mockery of the stuff that we
Yeah.
had seen.
It really
Oh,
was. And a lot of
we
times
just thought it was hilarious.
And kind of going on to that, don't let what you guys were saying here is the next bit. Really, don't let someone take hold of your character hostage and try to guilt you into playing just because you have an in-character relationship with their other characters. And subsequent to that, the expectation, when you're together, there's a certain amount of expectation that you guys are going to roleplay. Your characters are related, or you're together. In some way, there may be an expectation, but an expectation is not the same as being owed it. You are not
Yeah.
owed roleplay.
Yes, absolutely.
Like when Yunfei, when Xanis was basically Yunfei's dad, there was an
Okay, hey.
expectation that we would roleplay.
We have a caller. We know this one. I'm gonna
Okay.
go ahead and drag him down because he doesn't have a lot of time. So
Okay, go ahead. So let's go real quick. We'll interrupt our regularly scheduled program to go to our call lines to Indigo Jules. Hey,
It's an Indigo Jules.
hello,
Welcome to
Indigo.
RPM
Hello.
Radio. What's up?
Hello. Need to turn you guys down. Ow.
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
right.
We could all speak in a whisper.
No. Just wanted to pop in, and I think you already read what I sent you guys. But since my D&D game's taken a little bit to come to fruition,
Get your shit together, fuckers.
we have someone in Australia, so
Oh,
Nice.
well,
Have to
they're
wake up.
upside down. Wake up, you wanker.
my experience with tying people characters together is I actually had a long distance relationship with someone, and
Okay.
we tied it was in Warcraft, and we essentially tied all our characters together.
Mhm.
That, my
And-
friend, is a fatal mistake. Just saying.
Yes, it was. Yes, it
Been
was.
there.
It's
It's
the
a rookie
primary
mistake,
reason I
and you hate
can't
to
play
see it
Warcraft.
happen.
That's right. I can't go back to EQ2 for the same reason.
Yep.
And so that relationship went to drama school. And
I like how I said that.
And graduated with honors?
Yeah.
yes.
Valedictorian, in fact.
And now I have my Alliance tune and all my Horde tunes in limbo. 2 years of roleplay, poof.
Mm.
Yep.
And that's horrible.
And
Yeah.
we actually had a guild together. We created a small community that was just supposedly just hippies out in the middle of nowhere, tribals that were mostly blood elves for some reason.
Known for their hippieism.
And
I thought it was thirst for magic, but I digress.
thirst for something.
Let me guess. It must have been
More
baking.
weed.
Yeah, that thirst, I think, gets a lot.
Moonguard. Just gonna say Moonguard. Surfer Moonguard.
Yeah. So, and there's, it's It's rough because that was like what I was saying earlier, where a lot of people that are couples, they tie their characters together, but even those relationships, they can go bad. And I mean, is there a reason that you didn't separate them off from everything, or was everything just tied so tightly that it just wasn't? Because there is cost benefit, was it worth?
Yeah,
just not worth the effort?
Since we didn't really have a lot of people, I'd make a character if we needed like an alchemist, like to go the village alchemist. So I'd make a goblin, and this is the alchemist that we've hired.
Right.
And so then she'd make a goblin to be his partner, and back and forth. And it just like snowballed over 2 years.
Yeah. It would have been a sudden rash of divorces all at one time.
Yeah, and so I just essentially went, okay, I'm going to... Yes, I dare speak of Moonguard. So I went, okay, this is getting really... Can't do anything without having drama about it. I'm going to discover Elder Scrolls. And that was actually me discovering Skyrim and Elder Scrolls and...
Switching
Yeah,
games,
so that was... Yeah, not really switching games, but just taking a break.
Okay.
And I didn't know fantasy games could come in first-person mode, and so that was just like, hey, this is fun.
Right.
Yeah, it was kind of like, just like, wait, cars can come with 4 wheels, not just 3?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's rough, man, especially when everything's tied like that, especially over a 2-year period. It can be done, but there you at that point you have to, because they're still obviously probably around. So
it's worse when it's 6 year, and what have we learned? Don't
right.
do that.
And you've got a guild together,
Yeah.
so it's like getting are you gonna give up the house, but you get to keep the dog? Who's gonna get what and this and that, or should you just start
and it
over?
was when I came back in, I knew the relationship was over at that point when I came back to Warcraft, and I wanted to transition, since it was my guild, so I wanted to transition it to her so she could have everything, and I came in and only my characters were in it. She did not tell me this. The bank was absolutely empty, and apparently took everything and left.
Mm-hmm.
You found you're a red flag dirtbag, bro.
And so now I have 6 to 8 characters that were in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them with children on the way, and disappeared. So how am I going to do this so they don't, I don't know, go crazy?
Well, did you ever see that movie Frozen, where the parents die after the first 5 minutes on a ship? All right, so what we do is we set up a cruise. But all your characters missed the boat. That's all I got. What were you saying?
You know, you can do it a lot of different ways, especially if she's not playing anymore. I don't know if she is or not.
Or even if she is,
I actually don't know. I removed her from my BattleNet and stuff like that. I was actually going to say our camp was in Silithus.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, we don't either.
But
just say you woke up from a bad magic dream, you're good.
I had a character that I had a couple of tunes in relationships with like friends, and then I had one character that we were in a relationship, and he went all fucking nuts and flipped out and doxed me, and it was bad. Ashen can vouch for me here.
And then
we had a lot of role play.
Xana's
we had a
moved
lot of
in
role
to
play together.
take his place. Oh
yeah. Which that sent him over the rainbow. He deleted his character. We just said that he died a heroic death. We gave him a funeral, and that was the end of that. And he came back a couple of years later claiming that he never died after he'd agreed to all of this because he wanted to leave the game. My character just acted like he was crazy because she knew she buried her husband.
Mm-hmm.
There was no reason why I had to agree to him breaking his word and breaking the arrangements and coming back from the dead and claiming that Vodka tried to kill him, so
And
he
being
damaged-
out of
he
character and a
damaged
complete
all that.
nut job. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, well, I was trying to handle this as best I could. But in cases where, and I've seen this done with people who have a lot of tunes with one person and that person leaves or they break up or whatever, some of your characters you can just simply say stopped existing or moved off. Maybe they went off and moved away. You can change their name, remake them if they're low level enough.
Retired.
Yeah.
Just retire, disappear, go on a cruise, whatever, and they just walk off into the sunset. I found that works really well. If you want to keep the character because they're high level and you don't want to remake them, or you can rename them. But if you don't want to do that and you want to keep your existing RP, just not without the character, you can say that she ran off and you don't know where she is.
Yeah. And if she shows up again, she's on block, so she doesn't exist to you anyway.
Right.
Perfectly
So as far
valid.
as you're concerned, she disappeared without a trace and your character, grieves and moves on.
There you
Or they just get a divorce and it was just amicable and she left and you left and, you don't have to have your character grieve if you're not up to that kind of role play. You can just say that they parted as friends and that's that. Maybe he's a cold-blooded asshole.
Or you just had a really bad fever dream from taking too much mana with your blood elf. You woke up, man, it was a horrible nightmare. I'm glad that didn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of ways to handle it so that you can preserve your RP. I've always been a big fan of, name changing and, when it's a high level character to just name change and start over or have them live happily ever after, but off screen and your character just continues like she's still alive. You can always do that. You are not bound to say that she's dead and gone. You can say she's still at home making babies and your character is perfectly happy going home and poking another baby into the baby oven, and then you can have kid after kid after kid, I suppose. I mean, you can do whatever you want. It's your character, and if she's chosen to NPC herself, which is essentially what she does by doing that, and you have to put her on a block, she's an NPC as far as you're concerned. You could also just casually change her name. So your wife's name was Brianna, and then suddenly it's Brenda. Most people are not going to pay close enough attention to remember what the fuck her name was.
Yeah.
And those
That's
people that do
very
say we
solid
had
advice.
a breakup, I didn't want to deal with it. So Brenda is home alone, happily home making babies and baking gingerbread, and I'm off being my character.
Yeah, I posted pictures of old Sothis and new Sothis. It's essentially ground zero for World of Warcraft Hiroshima.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
A god stabbed the planet.
Yeah.
So I
Chernobyl.
went, yeah, pretty much Chernobyl.
Any chance he gets, he wants to throw that
Chernobyl.
one in there.
But in all that works too, and I can see, I can also see there for what happened with you, Indigo. There's also obviously there would be an emotional component too, because it was it was somebody you were with in the real world and you got a relationship with. So
Yeah.
there is on top of all that, story stuff. You can of course get around that, but you have to, on your own emotional level, every story and aspect of those characters is just a reminder of of all that had come before that. And then sometimes, honestly, at that point, especially I'm not going to go into details or be like, so tell me all the gory details about your relationship. But if it ended badly and it wasn't something that you were excited for, like say when my first marriage ended, and I was like, whew, that's a relief. It all end like that. Usually there's a lot of heartbreak involved as well. So at that point, if you can't really carry on with those characters, the renaming thing, or just honestly just starting from scratch, it might just be the best bet you can get.
Bro, I dealt with this in EQ2
Mm-hmm.
for years. Ask everyone here. What saved me when it finally went bust, because a lot of my characters were tied, was my other friends. And just continuing role play with my other friends and just completely cutting that crap out. Yeah, I had an ending for it. I said, well, she liked to play with her other little man toys too much, and she made her bed. She can lay in it. I have all the kids. I'm Skeletor. You know what I mean? That's what you got to do. You have to go to your other roleplay avenues and keep going. Best revenge is living well. They will eventually try to creep back in your life, but at that point you already have their number. Don't let them do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know the lesson. You've lived it, so don't put yourself through that again.
Yeah, they've like this was a long ass time ago. Don't even want to. So.
No, you're all good. No, tell us everything right now.
Yeah, not happening.
Where were you on the night of the 13th?
Which one?
I don't know. That's just the way it goes. It's just a night on the 13th. It's Tuesday.
Gormal was totally blowing his nose on Unify's desk. Totally. And it was me with the cookie crumb.
But yeah, man, it is a rough deal. You know, again, too, you moved. I mean, you found another game at least for a short time and something you've enjoyed, and that's another way to go about it. Less and less so these last few years as MMOs are getting scarce. But
yeah, I've actually really enjoyed. I made a similar mistake in Elder Scrolls Online, but I didn't tie multiple characters to the person.
Right.
So when they just decided to quit the game, not sure what happened, and kind of left a child with my character, I was able to go, okay, they didn't. Okay, so I did like softcore retcons, like they cured their vampirism, and got pregnant. Okay, their vampirism was dormant, and they turned again, and so they had to be, and they turned into a blood fiend.
Jazz, I'm scared. I have flashbacks.
Oh my god.
But yeah, you know, you have to, and that is definitely a tying every single character to one person. It's a minefield just waiting to happen a lot of times. You know, a couple characters here and there, especially if you've been friends for a decade or more, that might be one thing. But there's definitely a pitfall, and the unfortunate thing is you really, if you want to have somewhat decent role play as well on a long-term basis, you have to kind of roll the dice and see, and just be prepared that eventually everyone in all these games is going to leave, or the game one day will sunset on its own. Just, you know, look at the number of them that have over the last 5 years. WildStar and all the Matrix Online, all those they're just gone. City of Heroes is being a big one with a lot of role players that are still salty. So if sooner or later everybody's gonna leave a game, there's very few people that will stick to something. I would be very curious to see the stats of somebody that has been playing EverQuest 1 since day one and has never had a sub lapse. I would imagine that is a very minor group of people that have been playing a game for 20 years.
Under 5?
Probably.
It is hard, Indigo, especially if that person you had somewhat of a thing outside in the real world, because you tend to overlook a lot of the red flags in game.
Oh yeah, it was real world.
Yeah, that was me. I know, it sucks, but you know now, and it's easier to cut away. And if you do have the kids again in the different role play, there's no reason you can't keep them incorporated to your role play and still role play with your friends. So do that.
Yeah, like that's actually what's happened with the Elder Scrolls character. Is I've actually made the now 3-year-old Orgonian, and she's essentially a wall gecko. She will more than like he's role playing in a Breton house right now, and she more than once has climbed the castle to eavesdrop on people because she's just used to climbing trees, and when you're that small, everything's a handhold.
Right. Little gecko.
But she's not as small as a wall gecko, but I keep her crouched because that's her actual head height.
But yeah, and that's one of the ways to go about it. Just it is a valuable lesson. I'm glad you actually called in and shared that, because it does happen. It's just one of those things too, especially with the real life component. A lot of people don't tend to talk about just because, you know, it might be uncomfortable or something like that. But I'm glad you did.
Yeah, and I think in gaming it's more common than what a lot of people realize.
Yeah, I know a lot of people
Well-
who met their significant others through.
Yeah.
I think it happens a lot. I mean, I attended the wedding of two people that I encouraged to meet each other in real life. So, and they're still married.
Happily.
Happily, a long time now. And I think that people need to start realizing that when you meet in a hobby, you're probably going to get along. You have a pretty good shot. And they're all like, it's rare. It's really not. If you go to bowling and you meet someone that goes to bowling, you've already got one thing in common.
That's right.
Yeah,
and that's why some of those situations are hard, because you do have so many things in common.
Right.
Yeah, you both
Jason
like
and
wasting
I, when
14
we met,
bucks a
we
night.
had very little. We're not supposedly compatible personality wise, but we have a lot of the same hobbies, a lot of the same interests, a lot of the same way of looking at politics about life, and so we have a lot of things that we can talk about, and that's what made us friends, and then eventually why we became partners.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not wrong on this. Unife, you and Rohan are met online and are married in real life. So I mean, it's I don't think it's as uncommon as people think it is.
When's it gonna be my turn, you fetches?
You had your
I'm
turn
kidding.
turned crazy.
I know she did.
There's others out there though.
No, there's not.
Well,
Sad face.
you have anything else, Indigo?
No, just wanted to share here's my story and my lesson. So
Okay, I have to
Yeah.
say this before you go.
Uh-oh.
yeah.
You Canadians and your cute teddy bears on your peanut butter. Can't stand you guys. No, I was telling Ericus, I was teasing him earlier about saying something bad about Canadians. That's all I got.
Your
Were
geese suck.
They're actually really mean.
Yeah, we know. They're all down here. They've all immigrated to America, and they're fucking assholes.
There's a story somewhere that said that Walmart had to close one of their entrances because Canadian geese had had a nest next to one of their entrances, and so they ended up having to close it because of the geese.
Oh, two things. One, we're in my province. We found an Asian giant wasp.
Ooh.
That's not good.
Surprise!
Yeah.
That's not good.
And the Canadian government has passed a law saying that apologizing does not assume guilt.
Well, it should in Canada because
Nice.
that's true. They
From
say
the
sorry
land of
about
people
everything.
kind.
Yeah, people are so people say sorry so reflexively that apologizing for something does not assume guilt for the.
That's
I
Because
like
they could be
that.
apologizing for how you feel, not just
Yeah.
necessarily
Yeah,
about
I'm
what
sorry.
happened.
I'm in such a bad mood. I'm sorry.
I'm notorious about
That's
saying
Australian,
sorry.
dear.
Nope, that's Canadian. Right there, that's what Canadians sound like. That right there, that's what they do. That's right.
Mm.
And maybe a Newfoundlander.
Cock off.
But you got
Don't encourage him.
but you gotta wobble the voice a little bit.
Make-
Lord Tundra Jesus.
Yeah. Jumping Jehoshaphat.
Pretty much, that's it.
Hey,
You gotta have like a.
gotta do the Fargo
almost-
thing. Well, this is
Yeah.
that special, don't you know? You hope.
Yes.
I don't know what you're all about up there, but I know I could
Oh
go
my
for a
gosh.
good beer right about now and get me a bag of my milk with a little teddy bear on the peanut butter.
Now that's a pretty good Canadian accent.
Yeah, I can do
Yeah.
it if I give myself a second.
It's Canadian redneck accent, but
Yeah.
actually.
I live in Oklahoma. It's the only kind of accent I know. You should hear my French. It's French redneck, so...
Actually, Canadian French is the.
That's the sewage of French, isn't it?
No, it's actually like the Puritan English of French.
Oh, so they're super assholes. Fuck you,
Yeah,
Quebec.
Hey, just ask Ericus. I mean, hey, I love that lizard.
You'll rue the day you crushed me, Quebec. I don't know what we're even doing now.
So many Quebec jokes.
Sorry, I brought that up, but I had to.
You're all right. You're all right. Well, I appreciate you calling in,
Okay.
Indigo, and hopefully
Thank you
your
very
D&D
much.
people get off their fucking asses and play something sometime tonight.
That's actually what they're doing right now. I'm probably holding them up. Okay, so
Oh.
bye, guys.
Uh-oh.
Bye, bud.
Later,
Have a good
Indigo.
night. Thanks for calling
Bye.
the show. Well, that was fun.
He's awesome.
All right, so what we were saying was the expectation of roleplay is not the same as being owed it. And also, kid roleplay, just like delusional people in real life that have them because that's going to make your relationship stronger, it's not going to make your relationship stronger. Having fake kids doesn't do shit. It's a fake
Makes
kid.
it worse.
It makes it worse. Just like having a real kid doesn't make your relationship stronger. It just means you get less sleep and someone's going to have to pay child support.
And you get less sex.
And you get less sex.
Yeah. That's a married thing, I think.
And
Dang, that was
that's-
weird.
Married.
That was
That was
real
very
quiet for a second
realistic.
there.
Right, I didn't know.
It was awkward.
I think somebody's
Not-
projecting. No, I'm kidding around.
I didn't really know where to go with that either.
Ashton is speechless. Way to go, Jazz.
Well, I was trying to make the connection. Because if you're doing kid RP, in fact, I don't think that stops the ERPers. It's just like, yeah,
Well,
just
no,
put
because those,
we'll
they
put a
don't
bag
have
over the
real
kid's
children.
head. He'll be fine. Here, breathe in deep.
What are they breathing in? I'm curious.
The carbon monoxide.
Why is there carbon monoxide in the bag?
Because it's made of plastic and it's what you breathe out along with
You
carbon
weren't
dioxide.
specific. You didn't say like brown paper.
I love you
bag.
so much right now, Sib. Just saying.
I like the fact that you went with that there's a plastic bag in a fantasy setting, but so I'm just
Well, I
gonna
mean,
go with
you
that.
You said plastic bag.
Yeah.
I asked what kind of bag.
What in
What
the
was
shit
that?
was that?
Well, sorry, stuff fell over.
Apparently, it sounded like you were playing with Hot Wheels on your desk next to your thing, and they
She
crashed
was
into
rolling
each other.
dice.
No,
What y'all made you
die.
fight you? Y'all made her
Minecraft.
crash her cars.
My Hot Wheels are angry.
my graceful kitty.
Oh, hey Tuna. I know it. I know Tuna.
Yeah.
All right. So another thing too is try to get to know who the player is. The player, not just the character, the actual person behind it.
Yes.
You want to have at least an idea if you're able to keep running RP with this person. If you've been RPing with the person for a while, it's usually, that's usually a good sign. You can get a good test of somebody after a certain amount of time. But even then, things do change. Ask around as well. Guildies are always willing to give their opinion, be that good or bad. That's just it's definitely okay to be like, hey, so and so. I'm thinking of tying my character to it. What do you think? That something like that. Their community at large, reputations do get around, and if somebody ends up being problematic, somebody will end up knowing it. But then again, you also have to watch out for people with an axe to grind because, maybe that person you're asking is actually the nut job, and the other one was like, listen, that doesn't make any sense. I'm going to step
That's why
away
you
from this
ask
now.
More than one.
Right. Multiple people.
Yeah. Talk to multiple.
What?
Multiples.
Multiples. Talk to the multiples.
Multiples.
Talk to the multivitamins and the multipasses.
right.
Multipass.
But not that vitamin C guy. I don't know.
No, I don't trust. He tastes like oranges.
Straight oranges.
Yeah, like concentrated orange.
I like orange.
Me too. With a little splash of vodka. It's delicious.
Just like I like turtles.
We're so far in the weeds, man.
Oh, get out of my head! I said
No.
weeds too.
You guys, this isn't Colorado. There's no weed here
Yet.
Ooh.
True story.
yet. Not in your state, Jazz. I don't think you got you. Oklahoma got it before you, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, we have medical marijuana, but you can't buy it, grow it, or sell it.
Ha! See, wait, what? You don't? Then you don't have it.
No, we do. It's
But how do
perfectly legal if you buy it from a pharmacy-controlled setting that you have to apply to directly, and insurance or you pay for it from them, but you can't buy it from anyone else but them.
Huh.
And there's no prescription because doctors aren't permitted to do that. And
So
You
role
can't-
play. I'm
No,
just
no,
saying.
no. I gotta hear this.
It's fucked up, man. People are like, what?
Government.
And I'm just like, I'm just gonna wait till it's legal. Fuck all y'all.
Yeah. See,
I'm on the wallet fence.
yeah. I have to. I have to say this thing too. Sib's dad, before he passed. They passed it here, and boy, I don't think within the next time we visited him that there wasn't a pot in the backyard filled with pot. It was such a funny thing. He's a good guy. He didn't waste any time at all. I don't even know where he got it from. That was
Hell, I'd
cracking
plant
me
it
up.
here if they'd let me. It's
Well,
ridiculous.
Around here, you actually, I think you can have up to five plants of your own. There's a
California
limit,
does that
but you
too.
can
Yeah.
grow your own.
You can grow your own as long as you keep it a non-sellable level. But
Mhm.
Iowa doesn't do that yet. We're waiting. It'll happen.
Yeah, it's just get it done out at this point. It's just
Y'all have
do
fun
it.
with that. No thanks.
Hey, you don't
Soon as
have
it
to do it.
gets-
I have seen it. Medical wise, I've actually seen it help a lot of people
It
with
helps
legitimate
addiction.
problems.
It helps kick
Seizures.
addiction. It helps seizures. It helps all kinds of things, and not just smoking it. I mean, people who use the oil,
edibles. Yeah.
the edibles. It's just such an amazing thing to watch a child who's been on 6 different drugs at the same time still have seizures, and they start taking CBD oil, and the seizures just stop.
Yeah, that was one of the videos
don't
that
come
made
back.
me change my mind on it.
I
a-
was
a
just
grown
blown
man,
away.
Yeah.
I would love Mark to try it because I think it
My-
would probably help him. We just until it's legal, I'm not
Right,
even-
you can't risk it.
No.
Yeah.
And like for me, I'm a candidate because my pain levels are not controlled by medication. And
That's what
I
my
would
dad-
qualify for the oil or for the edibles.
My dad
course.
did it for the pain
Mhm.
after he had
The
was in a
pain, it would be
horrible wreck.
nice to not have to take aspirin.
Yeah,
And I
and-
can't take
Ibuprofen. you don't-
narcotics.
Yeah.
Well, it's
So-
something. I mean, it's not like the pain medication that they had him on was highly addictive. He got addicted to it. So, when they did the pot thing, he could do that, and it, compared to the, I don't know what kind of medication it was.
I
but-
think it was one of the opioids is what he was
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
But something like that, it's a lot better for you than, especially if you grow your own. You know what's going into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but no, that's why he had started to grow his own
Mm-hmm.
was because of the pain.
Yeah, the pain. I have a friend of mine that takes it here in Iowa, and she's told me it's gone. Pain's gone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She's not
I've-
on aspirin
with-
anymore. She's not. She
with
just
the pain I was
takes the
having
oil.
in my neck, I was seriously consider going in one of those dispensaries because believe me, they popped up overnight. We've got more. Used to be we had more churches. You couldn't go in Oklahoma 5 steps without hitting a church. Now you can't go 5 steps without hitting a church and the dispensary next door to that.
People are allergic to so much stuff like you.
And
Jeff.
it's an amazing amount of income.
Oh,
For
I think they've
states.
already got 2.8 million since we passed it at the
Yeah.
beginning of the year. Yeah.
It's such a boon to the states. I'm sure, if nothing else, that will win them over.
The government over as a whole, yeah. But
Yeah.
all right,
So
so
role play.
right. So role play this. If you have a bad relationship and things go sideways, remember your local pot dispensary is there to help you. That is how that was tangentially related to role play.
Lord have mercy. Okay. Role play.
I can connect anything. Give it to me. Give it to me. But seriously though, when it comes to tying your character, family, whatever, however you want to do it, outside of just like talking with a random stranger at a tavern, this is not what that's about. That you can get away with, and if somebody turns out to be a weirdo, you tell them to fuck off, and you put them on block, and you're done. But if something you're serious about, it's not something you don't want to rush into it. Some of these things end in hurt feelings or someone not understanding that this is just a game, not real life. That, like I was saying about Jazz's person from 2 weeks ago, your married characters are not meaning that you're in a real life relationship. It's characters first. Maybe that can happen, but it doesn't become bam, we're married.
And I will say, some of these games are all that some people have.
Mm-hmm.
It's their life. It is real life to them. So you got to take it, you don't want to be mean or rude
Right.
or hurt, have hurt feelings. So you want to consider a lot when you're tying.
You also don't want to give into the delusion and by consequence fall into that thing and then realize you just lost all your role play because after 2 years things went south.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Just saying, been there.
Yeah, and it does sound. I know to a lot of people like this is playing MMOs is the highlight of somebody's life. It does sound kind of bad, but it's
just like any other hobby,
right?
I mean,
unlike other hobbies, it's actually it's one of the cheapest forms of entertainment, honestly, out there. $15 a month, and you can play 200 hours of something.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go to a movie theater for $15. Not with my popcorn.
It is cheap entertainment. It's true.
Yeah,
it's cheap entertainment. It's creative.
It's a little addictive.
Is a little addictive.
Which according to
storytelling
EA,
in and of itself
not
is
because of the loot
addictive,
boxes, because those are digital surprises. Thank you, EA, for bullshitting your way through that.
Digital surprises.
It's
called gambling.
They were before, I forget where it was, but I think it was either Congress here or somewhere overseas, some other country. But they said, we have never called it loot boxes except for Straffe. Hey, what are those things in Battlefield 2 called?
Loot boxes.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Just making sure that I remembered that correctly. No, those were actually
loot crates.
Digital surprises. They were like
digital surprises.
They considered them like the Kinder eggs or something like that have the little things inside.
Which is also gambling.
Here's the difference though. When I buy a Hatchimal, when I buy a Hatchimal for my nieces or nephew, they know they're going to get a surprise hatchet thing out of that. But you know what?
Well,
they
that's
know they're
true.
getting it once. You know what they didn't do? They didn't buy the Hatchimal and then have to pay extra to hatch it. And then hatch it again, and hatch it again, and hatch it again, because they already paid full price for it. Which means, it's not the same, jackass. And you're full of shit. You can't rewrite history. It's all over the internet for the last 2 years.
Yep.
So, fuck you, EA. I'm still going to buy your games when you release them, though. They're good.
Your bad habits of loot boxes.
I'm going to buy the Jedi Fallen Order thing, so, I mean... I'm guilty of it. I may not have to like the company, but it's by Respawn.
I'll buy the game, but I'll be damned if I buy those damn loot boxes.
No,
I agree with you, bro.
That's where
I don't. I still play Battlefront 2, and I've never bought a loot box. I refuse.
Yeah, I just get the ones that the game gives me as I play through it, and that's that. But anyway,
they're cool when I get them, but half the time I just get stupid shit and it pisses me off. So I'm really glad I didn't buy one, because if I had paid actual money for it, I'd have been mad.
Yeah, especially when they tweak the algorithm so that it gives you less of the good stuff without... I think there was a time when Star Wars Star Wars The Old Republic did that, where all of a sudden from one patch to the other, the amount of garbage to actual good stuff you got was noticeably shifted, and a lot of people noticed it. It wasn't just like hey, is anybody else see this? Everybody was like, hey,
I remember reading about it
the
and how
fuck
pissed
is going
people were.
on? Yeah.
ESO and daily rewards, same deal.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like, ESO,
Yeah.
Say.
Well, ESO, at least the daily rewards, that's just logging in. You didn't pay money for the daily rewards, and those are garbage. But it'd be like if you were doing the loot boxes, or the loot crates in there, and all of a sudden,
that
actually,
thing we
they
went
are
to?
awful.
Well, we went and watched the E3 thing, and we were supposed to get a thing in it in boxes.
Yeah.
And my one account got it, but my other one didn't, and they keep telling me, "Oh, it's coming." No, it's not. You're lying,
It's
motherfuckers.
been 2 weeks, or it's been.
I
a
know.
week now.
You're just so full of shit. Anyway, I got it on my one account, and when I went and I opened the loot boxes that we got for that,
It was
literally all I got
potions
was
and food.
potions and XP stuff.
Yeah,
That's it.
You got poisons, potions, food. Maybe food is always that's a very
food,
popular.
but I mean nothing of any real value. It was just crap,
Right.
from start to finish.
Yeah,
I was like, this wasn't.
and you could have
anything.
and you could have paid for that.
Yeah, and the mount, I never got the mount either, but I'd never used the mount because I hate glowy mounts. So if I never get it, I don't care. I put my petition in, fuck all y'all. And that's the end of that.
The loot boxes they give during the month of the daily rewards are pretty subpar now. Like, they used to be good, and now they're just...
Oh, yeah, they were great at first. It was like, oh, man, I'm going to be sure to log in. Now it's like, whatever.
Yeah, the daily rewards went... The first 3
They went
months
straight to
were
hell.
great,
They're
and now
absolutely worthless.
They gave up. I think I started deleting XP potions. Or XP scrolls.
Yeah. I have so many of them. I'm about ready to do that too because I never use them because you don't need to level quickly is easy.
Well,
I'll use them in.
And even if you did, you still have 50 left over at the end of it. You're like, well, what do I do with the other 50 of them? So anyway, yeah, fuck EA, fuck the loot box thing. It's I get it for the cosmetic stuff. I'm not as opposed to that. I suppose, but. Don't just call it out for the greedy shit. Not to mention the recent study that did show that there was a connection between kids gambling and addiction to those loot boxes. That's not going to go in their favor if they don't do this.
It did blow up in their face because of that.
It's really going to look bad. They really need to change their...
It's at this point, unfortunately, I think government intervention is
It's going to happen.
It's
There's
unavoidable.
No way around
I think they fucked it up.
Guys, it already kind of did happen. They literally had to hand over Battlefront 2 to DICE. DICE had to unfrack it, and you can still get them, but they're not pushing them anymore, and you can just get everything in game slowly. And that blew up in their face bad, like real bad. Like their stock price started dropping when Battlefront 2 dropped. That whole fiasco went.
Yeah, and not everybody. And then there's companies from the heavens come down like a avenging god. CD Projekt Red, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy Cyberpunk 2077. When they released Witcher 3, they had 19 DLCs, downloadable content, all of which, for Witcher 3, were free. All free. They didn't charge you for it. They were free. They were free, EA. Free. And they had 2 expansions, both of which did cost money. Each one of which was as long as most games.
You mean it wasn't like Mass Effect 3 where day 1 DLC to get Javik and it was only a small submission? And you had to pay for the privilege to get Javik?
Nope, they didn't do that. And I have a feeling...
Oh, man. Of course it was EA. So.
Wait for it. I'm calling it on 2077, the Cyberpunk game they're going to come out. They're going to do... I guarantee you, this company is going to do the exact same thing. They're going to have a lot of DLC content that's going to all be free. People are going to love them. People are going to buy the shit out of that game as opposed to the other ones that are make you pay for that stuff. And when they do release an expansion for Cyberpunk, it will cost, but it will be almost an entire other game unto itself. Because that's just the way these people roll. They know doing it the way... I mean, there's Witcher 3 is still in like the top 5 and top 10 selling games, and it's been out for 4 or 5 years now. And that's people love that stuff. Gamers respect that a lot, and unfortunately, a lot of these games and
that's
MMOs,
because they're
especially,
respecting the gamers,
right? Yeah,
doing the gamers who are like making the millionaires.
You guys have to remember, these are producers and investors that want to see an instant return. Yeah. That's what's flavoring a lot of this. It's not just the game developers. A lot of dudes at EA, a lot of them get fired anyway at the end of the project. But
which is another.
They're like
thing.
they have to show up, make their deal, and then they're told what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's
it. And I don't blame developers on a lot of this. I know, like with EA and Battlefront, the developers fought against it. It was suits. In Cyberpunk, I don't know how they get around that. I don't know their internal structure that they're able or they've just got suits that are like, okay, look what those fuckers did. That did not work. All right, we're gonna try this and see if that works. Oh, I'm pretty sure that was a firework.
Yes.
If you heard a loud pop on the podcast, we were not being shot at. It's Oklahoma, and the fireworks stands have been open since the 15th. So,
and we live out of city limits, so you can shoot off fireworks whenever you want,
even at 12 at night.
And trust me, our neighborhood lets you know about it.
So, all right, well, let's finish this thing out here. But yeah, you don't want to rush into it. You do also want to be... It goes back up to the expectation of role play, not the... I forget what it was now. Not being owed it. you got to be careful about being needy. Some people don't like needy. Who would have thought? And it pushes them away quickly.
Some
Really?
people are too nice to the needy person to
Right.
tell
and
them to F off.
Yeah, and
Yep.
there are some very, very kind, big-hearted, sweet individuals that sometimes they play little fey characters that it takes them
Actually-
a long time to be like, you know what, this is becoming toxic. I should probably not be in
Yeah.
this anymore.
Can I tell that story?
You can tell that story. I don't know why
Okay,
I mean,
well.
I don't know. Can you? To go back to my 5th grade teacher.
Well, with Yunfei, because I guess I played her differently. Like, it was really hard to find another Fae that wasn't role played, like they'd been dropped on their head a few times.
Yes, I
Airasai.
loved Yunfei for that reason.
Yeah,
She had
it was
brain.
really difficult. And so when I bumped into this male Fae, I thought, oh my God, somebody's playing a male and a Fae, and he doesn't seem to be like, he's
A
been
moron.
dropped on his head. And so that's how that started. And I think that kind of charmed me, I guess, because it was something that was just so rare to find. And I thought, well, cool, Yunfei can finally interact with her kind, and not her kind that are just weirdos or act like little kids or something. So anyway, that's how that relationship started. And I definitely made that decision too fast to link his character and mine.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it was like he wasn't particularly nice, but for some reason I was trying to overlook that and make things work.
Because you're too nice.
Yeah. And like I felt bad saying, you need to knock it off.
I hate that title, by the way, just saying, but I understand you. All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was difficult. And then it just kept getting worse and getting worse. And then it started leaking over into OOC. And like he would do out of character things in character, like abusive things. And I don't recall what exactly triggered this, but I do remember that Vaka called him in for and I'm air quoting here, meeting. And I'm pretty sure she kicked his ass all over the place.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
She did the same thing to my stalker from Kinos back when I moved over to the Freeport side. She's good about scorch earthing the crazies.
But like even after that, it didn't let up. And again, I was too. I don't.
Yeah, and nice
gotten-
is just a roundabout way of saying it. Doesn't It's, I don't know. I can't pinpoint the word. It's just being overly nice in what.
Well, I've gotten better as I've gotten older, but like I generally don't like conflict or making people feel bad.
Non-confrontational. You're non-confrontational. That's.
I remember he asked me if this was OOC or IC.
Oh, really?
And I said,
Yeah,
it's
he had
completely IC, of course.
He had a
Why? Should I be
problem
yelling at you,
mixing.
OOC, for something? Nothing. I'm fine. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like if I would have been a little stronger, I guess, or a little more firm, then I would have spoken up, and I really should have spoken up to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it was the I don't want to.
You don't want to rock the boat.
Up trouble, and so that all culminated in me killing my character off.
Yeah.
And
Not in my head canon. She's still fine.
that was my biggest regrets in EQ2 was killing my favorite character like ever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because I had found this rare gem of a male fae that wasn't, R-tarded. I tried so hard to make it work, and it just wasn't like it.
Yeah.
He was definitely abusive. So yeah, you really got to be careful who you link your characters to, especially if they're characters that you are very close to, like I was with Yunfei.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember that happened, and it was sad. But at the time, that happening really hurt Xana, so my tune was like, yes, how can I push this button more? But,
Dude,
there was a rivalry going on then, but yeah.
I cried so hard.
Yeah, everybody was upset. Like, even me, OC, was like, man, this sucks. We lost a good player today.
Yeah, and I really, really regret that. I mean, I had another character to fall back on, but she didn't have...
It wasn't the same.
Yeah, and she was a little... She was an RSI, which is like for people that don't know, that's like the unseelie fairies, I guess.
Yeah, they're the evil fairies.
Yeah, so she was a little short with people, a little standoffish, and it was definitely a different experience and not one that I wanted to be my main. Although I did like the character class a lot,
right?
Like the character herself. I would have much preferred to have stayed with Yunfei and maybe re-rolled her as another class or something like that. But for whatever reason, I decided to kill her, thinking that would stop what was happening behind the scenes. And oddly enough, it didn't, because he showed up again wanting to be my other character's sister or brother. And yeah.
The old
so it was
those are red flag people, folks. They're out there. They predate on the niceness.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And like the red flag, looking back now, all the flags were there, and I don't know if I just willingly ignored them or if I just at the time wasn't seeing them.
Well, dude, it's almost nice people want to help.
Yeah.
And you want to believe because abusers abuse and then they apologize and they cry and I didn't mean it.
And they become the victim.
And then you're like, oh, I mean, I don't want to hurt you. I just want you to stop. And you overlook things. I did the same thing with He Who Shall Not Be Named. I mean, he took off and caused all this trouble. But I mean, I'm sure Xanis will admit that I think everybody saw it but me.
Mm-hmm.
That when he had a bad day, he'd pick a fight with me. And we were OOCly fighting almost all the time by the time this happened. It was a constant thing. He would make me cry. My husband wanted to kill him because he would reduce me to tears OOCly constantly, how it was my fault. He would berate me. It was bad. And I have been in several relationships with people OOCly that I roleplayed with where I have fallen back into that. And it's understandable why, given my childhood.
It's a slow, and it's never a quick thing. It's a slow creep.
Right. It's a slow burn. It built up.
You want to believe the best in them.
Yeah. Yes. You want to believe it. And because of where I come from and because of the complex trauma and everything that I have, I fall victim to that very quickly. And, I had a friend of mine tell me the other day, you couldn't possibly be that stupid.
Oh, let me count the ways me and Ashton have told her many times, and other friends, hey, you're being stupid, Jazz, don't do that.
Yeah, it's not about being stupid.
No, I know that. I know, because I felt like myself.
You've done it too. Yeah.
It is one of the huge differences between, people who are super nice and people who are able to separate.
And have had our hearts hardened and forged in the fires of go fuck yourself.
But it's easy to fall into that when you come from a place
it's an insidious
it might be permissible. And
I grew up with that. Both sets of parents were abusive, just straight up. It was abuse. And so I think in a way, maybe that was me falling into something that was familiar.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is really scary.
It's familiar because you're used to someone treating you that way.
You gotta cross over to the Ashen Zone at some point, though, because otherwise they're gonna keep using you. It's
and eventually
your nature.
Get there.
It's
like I said, as I've gotten older, I've gotten a lot better about it. I will stand up for myself now.
I mean, this time when I came across it, and it was actually Strafe that brought it up to me, that this was no different. Just a lighter version of what
Which is
I
how
had
it
gone
starts.
through.
It always starts.
Which is how it starts.
Yeah.
He was like, he's treating you exactly the same way that He Who Shall Not Be Named did. You just don't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had to put my foot down.
It's
and I
not
told him
okay to be somebody's whipping board just because they had
No.
a crap day and they could take it out on you. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember
and
this
I had to
conversation well.
eventually do that. I had to finally see it. And I'm still friends with some of the folks like that. But I had to learn that I had to put my foot down and say, this is enough and it's going to stop or we're done.
Yeah.
And
Because
it
unlike
does
real life,
work.
you can't just show up at your house. You can just block them and they're gone. They're
I
gone.
can just turn you off and I don't ever have to see you again. So this needs to stop because it's not healthy for me.
Yeah, and the thing of it is too, what you abusers, they do it professionally. They may not understand the psychology. They may not even understand all that they're doing, but instinctually they know what buttons to push. They know how far they can go, when they need to back off, when they need to turn from, maybe they had a bad day and they started a fight with you, Jazz, and then you started you called them out on it. And then they're the victim all of a sudden because they explained to you, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I just had such a bad day, and it was a long day, and I lost my head." And then you'll forgive them, and the very next day comes along because it's just another one of those days. They know instinctually, if not entirely,
but they
mentally,
often
how
come
to do
from
that.
a background where they watched this happen and it was okay.
Right.
And so, I mean,
it's one
abusers
of those, it's a break the cycle
abused.
thing. You got to,
and it's
you
a
have
cycle
to break the cycle.
that they learned by watching people, and it's important both for them and for you because you can salvage the friendship, but it's got to stop.
Right. But if it has to stop, and if it doesn't, then they're not your friend to begin with, and you move on. But going on to the good things that can come of this, of course, because I know we focus a lot on the negative, but that's largely because the negative is very negative. But on this one too, this is one of those few that's not really. There's lots of shades of gray. There's it can be good and bad at the same time, just like a lot of things in life. But when these kinds of things go good, you'll most likely have a friend to play with when you're in game. Perhaps even, the RP attachments could kind of turn into long-lasting friendships. For maybe a mild example, there's 5 of them here. Given as I married one of them, and then she came in, and now it's all and Yunfei married one. Jazz just came already pre-attached.
We'll just say Jazz is married a couple in game.
Right? Yeah, she's a whore. Yeah.
Hey,
what?
One of them died. Okay, so we can't say that.
Well, 2 of them actually. Xanis kind of died too, but
exactly.
she was he was grieved a lot more, which really is all that matters.
Anyway,
but
no,
there were celebrations. Celebrations on the under. Okay, I'm done.
Fuck you. Nobody liked your character anyway.
I know. That was the point, though.
I beg to differ. There was a lot of people that liked his character.
No,
everybody
they didn't. All
likes
of them
the bad guy.
No,
it was always the wrong attention. That was all red flags. I'm telling
Exactly.
you. He's all about the negative attention. That's what Strafei. You should stop talking to him. He's a bad person.
No.
Let's mix that. But yes, it really can lead to amazing relationships. That's one of the cool things about roleplay is the amazing, the internet in general, but you can meet some pretty amazing people from around the world that there is no way in hell I would have ever met any of you otherwise. It was other than Sib, because we lived in the same city, but
work together.
Yeah, and work together. But the rest of everybody I know. I never would have known any of you. I even remember a kid from Ireland back in early 2000 that we used to play Star Wars Jedi something or rather, Jedi Academy with all the mods and stuff, and a couple other people. We had a little thing, and it was something we always did. Don't know what happened to him, but it was cool to know him. Yeah, it's just a really cool thing that you could make a lifelong friendship with somebody that you may never actually meet face to face and have life-altering changes with. There you
go. My bestest friend in the whole wide world is
thank you.
Dutch.
Oh. Well, this is
No,
embarrassing for both of us.
He lives in the Netherlands, and we met. It was actually on a forum where some roleplay went on, not necessarily like in a
Right.
visual game. And yeah, we met, hit it. We role played together, and then we started talking out of character, hit it off, and eventually, like, he said one day, we'd known each other for maybe 3 years at that point, and he was like, "Hey, would you like to see my country?" And I went, "Hell yes, I would like to see your country." So I went and I lived with him for about 2 years in the Netherlands.
Guten
And
Tag.
it was, yeah, well, that's German, but I think.
You're right. It is.
But
But it's the only.
yeah, it was an experience I never would have had if I had never met him, you know? Yeah.
That's really cool.
And same thing with Rahanar. Like, that was absolutely adorable. It's short. Can I tell the story?
Oh, are you asking?
I
me
don't
or
know.
him?
Yeah.
I
It's super
was
cute.
like, I don't know what you.
Are you gonna?
So
You don't need to ask permission to talk on the talk show. I don't know if you're aware of this yet, but you can just kind of talk.
well, that's the polite Canadian me.
Quit it.
Okay, so I had just returned to EQ2 after, I don't know, like a year-long hiatus or something.
It
Maybe
was
a little
after
more.
the first guy you were talking about, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And after
For
actually a
timelines.
couple pretty nasty breakups in real life after that. I have a shit record with men.
Yeah,
but
you're really
anyway. So I popped back in game, and Ben, who plays Rahanar, had just had surgery on his feet, so he was laid up at home, and he had he'd been out of game for a while too, but he had the. Do you remember how EQ2 used to have like a separate chat thing, so that you could, outside of game, you could chat with people in game?
Yeah, I do remember that.
So he saw me log in. I was on his friends list, which is funny because we'd only ever like role played in passing in the past. Just light, like little tavern role
Right,
play,
like, hey,
hey,
how's
how
it
you
going?
doing? You know, yeah. And so I get this tell from him. You know, Rahana tells you, "Hey, do you remember me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I remember you. You know, we've bumped into each other a few times. How you doing?" And he's like, "Well, I've been thinking of coming back to EQ2. Oh my god.
Oh my god, don't do that. Bad girl.
Hey.
I think that's the cat.
Okay, sorry. That's Tuna scratching. There's a pizza box on the floor that I don't have the throw away because she loves it. But anyways, and so he hopped in game with me, and we met up as Alika and Rahanar, and he was like, "Well, you know, do you want to role play, or do you just want to go do stuff?" And I'm like, "Yeah, a little from column A, a little from column B. Let's just do whatever." And we did end up role playing, and the characters got in a relationship. But whenever things like got kind of hot and heavy, we would fade to black, and he'd be like, "All right, you know, what do you want to do today?" And we'd go do like like the stupid rhyme faction quests.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Oh god, that took forever. But yeah, so we just got to know each other that way, and eventually, after a while, one day he was like, "Hey, I'm going to come visit you." And like I said, I have a just abysmal track record with gentlemen in my past.
With gentlemen callers,
Yeah,
literally
so
calling on
I
your
kept
front porch,
saying,
yeah.
I was really reluctant because I was like, "Oh my god, he's going to get here. You know, I like this guy, but he's going to get here, and it's just all going to go to shit."
Yeah,
And,
he's gonna look like the Toxic Avenger or something
Yeah.
like that, and just be hi.
So and he just kept pestering me for a good couple months, like in good-natured pestering. And then finally
clearly a stalker.
Clearly.
yeah, no, it
stalker.
wasn't like in a stalker
I
kind
know.
of way. And then finally he was like, "Mel, I'm gonna come visit you, and it's gonna be fun." And I was just like, "Okay." So he came to visit, and it was fun.
And
then-
she was never seen again.
Yeah, and that's how I met my husband.
Yeah.
Last sighting Oklahoma somewhere. We're not sure where.
So yeah.
So yeah, like when it goes well, it can go
it
really
can go
well.
really well. Yeah, and Sabri and Tilder, they're another one. That was
Yep.
the one couple that Jess was talking about earlier in the show. Was it's the exact same thing. you know, and now they're married, have been for a while.
My goodness, 6, 7 years, something like that. 6 years, 5 years, I forget. It's been a while.
That makes me so happy too to hear, because like you said, Ashton, you get to meet people from all over the world that you would have never had the chance to meet before. And like you can have these friends just spread out everywhere. And it's just really amazing.
And I've gone to Washington State and met people from EQ2. I met Bloodthorn folks in Washington State, Cammie and a couple other people.
Bloodthorn, oh man. But that's cool though.
I mean, it is, and they're cool people in real life. So the lady that ran it, what was her name? Avarice, I believe. So it's cool.
Alvis and Bloodthorns, yes. We did all kinds of crap missions for them.
She's an incredibly interesting person in real life, and an artist, and just fascinating. And I don't know, I doubt she listens to this, but I just fangirl all over her. I think she's amazing.
Oh my God, hold on. Was she Envy in EQ1?
Honestly, I don't know. I didn't know
anything
about her
she
back
didn't
then.
play that one, yeah.
Because
Avarice ran Bloodthorn, so whoever she was in EQ1, probably. I know she played that a great deal, so I don't know.
I think I know who you're talking about, and she's a great artist.
Yes, she's amazing, and she's just the nicest person. I met her, and she was just so sweet and kind. I was really pleased to have met her because of that.
I already don't like her.
Oh, be quiet.
I ran so many missions in Nilok for those clowns, man. They were always doing their dirty work, so and annoyed Rengoths to no end.
Yeah, but and one of the other great things too, when you, other than real life friendships and long lasting ones, is it gives you someone to bounce your roleplay stories and ideas off of, and it gives you someone to maybe help with your roleplay events and stuff like that. It's invaluable, really, to have someone that you can gain the trust of and be trusted in turn, to know they're going to give honest answers, even if it may not be what you want to hear. I've done that with Jazz and Strafei and Sib, and when they come to me, and if I bounce something off of them, we work these things out because we trust each other's opinions, and sometimes you may be like, all right, well, I appreciate you showing me that pitfall, but I'm still going to go through it. Because sometimes in roleplay, like with a new mechanic and stuff like that, sometimes the only way to know if it's going to work, if you're going to do a different way of doing your event, is to try it. You can think it out all you want, but until you throw some live guinea pigs into it, you really don't know. So you work out what you can. You set up your backstories. You bounce ideas off each other. Lore check is another. Someone that you trust that knows the lore real well is something you always want to make sure that you've never hurts to have in your back pocket. Like if I went to World of Warcraft, I'd be asking like Strafei and Ericus about what the fuck is going on. Like why Silthis has a giant nuclear hole in it. Apparently a god stabbed the heart of it. I learned that today. I learned things. I didn't know that. I don't even know what that is. I still think it sounds like Sithis, which is totally a different game and a different entity entirely. But there's just a lot of really great things that can come out of it when it does go right. And it's not one of those things where I can't give you a percentage of when it goes bad and when it goes good, because there's also a medium range where it's just like, well, that was a thing that happened and that was enjoyable while it was going on, and now it's over, and I don't feel anything about it one way or the other. It's just people. It's just like anything. People come in and out of your life. It's the ones that make the impact. It's usually you really only remember the ones that either it was extremely positive or an extremely negative impact. Those are pretty much the only ones that leave a lasting impression, which is why they would call that an impact, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But, yeah, just in the end, just make sure you're respectful of your roleplay attachments. If you tie your character to somebody, if you decide you're not going to be playing anymore, like the game doesn't do it for you, don't just ghost. Don't just disappear. Just let them know, like, hey, as happens to Jess this week, don't lie about it. Just be honest. Honesty gets you a lot further
I'm a big girl.
than.
Just tell me, dude. I just want to do something else for a while.
Right.
Okay.
When I was leaving ESO, I was like, sorry, Jazz, I know we had this little thing started going. I would rather pull out my own teeth than log into ESO right now. So I just you handle it, or we'll just let it fade off, and that'll be that. And that's the way there. That's all there is to it. I can't. You can't
I didn't
make
get mad.
yourself. Yeah.
That was the way it was,
Yeah,
and that's okay. Tell me the truth, and we'll move on.
And if you're disappointed, yeah, it's okay to be disappointed. Things disappoint
There's nothing wrong with being disappointed. You know,
exactly.
You just have to remember that in the end, you also have to consider other people's feelings.
Yeah, and if somebody doesn't enjoy something anymore, you can't really force it. I mean, unless it's Disneyland, in which case, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's fucking Disneyland. They got Star Wars Land there now. You should be having fun. Even though only half the park is open, but that's beside the point. So, anybody else have anything before we wrap this up? Since we went a little over.
Ashton, we need to go to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, bro. I'm just saying.
I'm waiting. It's only half that park is open right now. They've only got the Millennium Falcon thing. The other one isn't going to be open.
In August, it will open at Disney World. That's when I'm waiting.
Yeah, well, even that, I think it's only half the park. So you want to make sure, because there's two rides. There's the Millennium Falcon ride, which does sound weird, and it's only so from the reviews I've seen of it. But there's another, at least at Disneyland, there's another entire half of the park that the ride that goes with it. I think it's like the Resistance or something like that isn't even open yet, and it won't be open for like another 4 or 5 months. So you'd only get to go to the park and play half the ride. So I'm willing to wait.
Yeah, I'll wait as well. I'll only be going to the Swamp Coast to see it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that one's going to be in the same boat. I don't know that both rides will open at the same time. They just want to get it opened. So if I'm going to spend the money to go to a Disneyland or a Disney World, I want the full fucking Star Wars thing. That's all I'm saying. But, all right, well. Before we got starting talking on Star Wars.
You can blame me, boss.
No, I'm always up for it. But appreciate everybody tuning in. Remember, twitch.tv/RPMM Radio. Give a like, follow, subscribe, whatever the hell it is over there. Ring a bell. Something. I think that's YouTube, but whatever. Of course, if you want to join us during the week, as several people have, I've noticed a lot of people popping in. RPMMRadio.com/Discord. And we'll be here. I think next week we're going to have something fun. I haven't talked it over with the others, but I think we're going to create some characters. So we're going to see. We're going to see what everyone thinks about that. So appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm Ashen Phoenix. With me is Jazz, Sibs, Trefay, Yunfei. Thank you for calling in, Indigo
Bye,
Jules.
guys.
Appreciated that. Tune in next time when we'll go over why halflings aren't allowed to have relationships because of the cabbage smell and nobody can stand them. Next time on RPMM Radio. Good night, everybody. Music, as always, is provided by Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/HuskyByTheGeek to hear all his great video game rock covers and original music.